Okay. Monster.
Attention, please.
Yo. 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 Yo.
What is going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, the Leo King, here for your weekly sun sign horoscope for this October the 7th through the 13th of 2024. I'm also going to be kind of just doing an overall about October in the middle of it because there's so much happening, but we will be covering week by week. I appreciate you all being here with me. Of course, I'm still getting all the little kinks out of this place, but the main thing is in the daytime. So the universe just really doesn't like me in the day. So it was actually very frustrating. So to film in the day here is, I haven't even figured it out fully. It took me all day and wasn't going to happen. Plus waiting for these stands. We got a lot going on here, of course. And we're going to be covering every different zodiac sign here like we did in the past. I will not have the title up because I'm trying to get everything back into a whole new studio. So there will be no title on this one. So I'm sorry if you want to off my head because of that. I'd say that, maybe you need some help. But let's go into it. Let's start off here with the different zodiac signs. I'm truly stoked to do this, and a lot going on here. Trying to get a lot of this stuff going here, but let's take a look. We got all of your zodiac signs up. That's right. So let's start with Aries first. I mean, I could just for people kind of just do, I could do a little bit of a easy way to look at it. I could maybe do this like Aries, I guess. All right. Well, Aries, remember, we've got a big week. Jupiter's going to retrograde and Pluto's going to station direct for the last time in Capricorn in our lives. Let's start with that Pluto. So on the 11th here, we're going to see Pluto station direct. Now, this is happening in your 10th house. And you spent 16 years trying to find the tallest mountain to reach. Don't give up. But also at the same time, how much are you trying too hard? Like, it's about understanding where destiny lies, and it's about learning acceptance with Pluto. We're in Libra season, so with the South Node here, how is it affecting your relationship life, these quests that you've been going on? Because to be honest with you, you could probably feel distant or there's nobody around, right? And so maybe you're with the partner who likes you a little bit distant, and maybe you like that, but at the same time, you got to ask yourself, how does it affect your relationships and your relationship with your day-to-day life of actually the identity of who you are because of this North Node that's here in Aries. And we are getting ready for a full moon, of course, that's going to be coming. But this is the week of the quarter square of the moon. And this is this moon coming into Capricorn this week that's going to be with Pluto as it's going to station direct. It's pretty extreme here. So this is us as Aries or Aries ascendant. You got to realize this is your moment here to go, have I thought about the repercussions of how much I put into my career or goals? Because that Jupiter will retrograde. And so you can see Jupiter retrograde right here. And it's going to be happening in your third house in Gemini. Let's be honest, Mars at the same time is in shadow now, and it's in your fourth house. So you're having to realize that the universe is going to spend a lot of time here looking at your personal life and making sure that actually it's identified correctly and it's in opposition to Pluto for these next, let's call it 4, 5, 6 months, right? So there's a battle here about, is your personal life really in balance? Are your relationships really working out? And how can you better gauge your life about what you put too much into, what you're trying to strive too hard for, and where is the boundary? Like, it's good to be striving. I don't want you to just be a lazy person and not do anything on the couch, but at the same time, It could also be that while you think you're reaching something, but so the other part of this is your work ethic is being exposed, meaning you're not really trying that hard. Like it seems like you are, but you're really not, meaning that you're not really putting in all the work that you could do. You're putting in all the work that you could do in the areas that you want it to look like, that you want it to be like when it comes to your career, but it's not actually going that way. Right? It's just getting you to where it's always like, this next place. This next place. I wish it would go there. It's like, well, to be honest with you, a lot of this is you don't put that much work in the areas that you need to be putting in the work, right? You do it only in the areas that you like. So there's a bit of the laziness with Mars here in the 4th, but this Jupiter retrograde is, you need to really be honest and look at the facts. It's been 12 years since we had a Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. Well, guess what? It's time for you to not be afraid to be honest with yourself and use relationships as your guide. Like ask people like, how do you really feel about me without getting triggered? You don't let people really give you the criticism that you need. And that's what I think this is about on a deep level, because communication isn't so much about what you have to always say. This is about learning to listen. And at the same time, when we get the full moon in a week from now, so next week, it's going to be in Aries. And you got to be careful because all these energies are really connected. Even this quarter square of the moon that's going to come this week is going to be in opposition to Mars, right? Then we'll have that full moon that'll be in square to Mars. So you have to remember that Mars is a big part of your life. It's the ruler of your sign. And it's also where the North Node is in the sign that Mars rules. And guess what? Mars is in its worst placement. So for you, it does feel like you're kind of swimming through and you're having to face things that you haven't faced. Things that maybe you're afraid of, what will happen in public, what will happen long term, especially. Whether it's health, whether it's date, because when you're doing the 4th house, you're doing with anything personal. Your relationships are being highlighted a lot. But I think that for you, it's this better understanding now of like, even with Venus and Scorpio, there is this, where do you like the chocolate more than actually, doing the work of actually eating the real meals of your life? That's where Uranus is in your 2nd house. And I think that for you, it's, when it comes to money, when it comes to finance, when it comes to also trying to prove yourself and your self-worth, does it have to come through the gauge of your career or your successes? What if it's about how you show up just in life and that you fully do it? I think you're too focused on, well, at least at the end of the day, I did do it. That's nice. But people are very understanding that Aries don't show up on a lot part of it. And it's like, okay, you do get the job done, right? The soldier, okay, you did go to the battle, but it would have been nice if you would have helped with the tents and you would have helped with that and you would have helped with this or you would have helped with that. There's a problem that you're having to face that you're lazy. You're having to face that you don't go all the way. And the problem is that you've put way too much energy on this place where you want to reach in the way that you want to reach it, opposed to the actual work that you probably don't want to do, that you might even push off on other people. But also it's a great excuse in your relationships to get away when you need, to push people away. And so it's dealing with avoidance in many ways at the same time while you're avoiding the one thing you do want, which is your success, which is kind of crazy. So listen more. Of course, speak up, but I don't think this is about, hey, I need to be on the podium and speak up. No, this is about you learning to listen and get some insight and get some facts about what's really going on. And relationship-wise, this can also be where there's hidden stuff that you don't want to come out about why you don't do well in relationships or why you are single or what, right? Like, there's something deep within this place of your attachment, fears, because of that Venus and Scorpio and all this Libra, right? 7th, 8th house issues at this moment, South Node, right? It's like, why are you putting so much into Pluto? And then at the same time, it's not even really putting that energy into your career that much. You're putting it only in the way that you want it to be. You got the King of Pentacles reversed. So I hate to say it, but I think that, you don't need to put on the show. nobody cares about the show. Everybody wants more of the real you than the show that you are doing all this. And actually people can smell, sense what's really going on. And I don't think people are going to accept it anymore when you continue to just say, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. When a lot of it's going to be that those facts aren't going to add up. So I wouldn't also speak anything that you know is kind of bullshit or manipulate, because people will be able to see right through it right now. All right, let's move on to Taurus ascendant. So I'll put Taurus like that. I mean, I wish it was better looking, but we are here. Taurus. All right, so Taurus is Jupiter retrograde in your second house. That's going to happen on the 9th. And then, of course, just 48 hours after that, Pluto retrograde stationing direct in your 9th. You are so much. You have so much that you can do. But unlike Aries, who's at least trying, you're not, right? So this is about, why are you stuck in your head still? Why are you still coming up with every excuse there is in the book, even though you know the gold's there in yourself, or even things that you want? But again, there's this whole fear of experience, fear of losing. I would honestly say with Uranus that's in your sign, your independence, right? So it's kind of like this anxious energy that you have about like, well, I want to be free. I want to be able to do what I want. I don't want to be, having to put too much into anything right now that I don't have full control over. Because part of this is the belief that you need to have control in order to feel safe. With that being in the 9th house, right? It's a belief system, but also it's this wider point of view of your whole entire scope of your psyche right now. That's really realizing that 16 years of being in a hole and trying to find hope isn't fun. And the whole time, the door's been open. Just you don't want to do it. You almost kind of want the attention for people to kind of pull you out. Guess what? That nobody gives a fuck, right? People care about you, but people are not wasting their days. Why isn't Taurus coming out and doing things, right? So in many ways, this is the hermit that you've become, and realizing that your self-worth, which is what you're here to do, is more now based upon your independence than it ever has been for the last 6 years. Times that also by the 16 years of you not believing that anything good will happen ever again, and still dealing with that. It's like still dealing with it. It'll turn out bad, right? So in many ways, it kind of does feel like the evil queen, just like, who's the fairest of them all? I already know who the fairest is. So you already have picked out the story, the person, the situation that is better than you. And that's the problem. All this Libra energy is your day-to-day life and schedule and reality and health are really fucked up right now. Which, if you think about any kind of cow or bull, guess what? If they're not doing well in their day-to-day life, they're not out there every day grinding, that's where the balance is as Taurus. If you're going to produce and be a big bull, you got to be doing something, or else you get real big, fat, unhealthy, and then, everything goes offline. Right? So right now you're dealing with where has your whole sum of what you think is the most beautiful story in your life really about, because you don't want to do the effort of just the basics, right? So this can mean like, do you brush your teeth two times a day, or do you do it once and then you do it twice one day, and then you're at a place to where it's like, it's kind of a little scary, because with Jupiter retrograde, Pluto stationing direct in your 9th, Pluto's here not to deliver some hopeful, positive thing. It'll do it through kind of a crazy experience, right? And be like, I saved you at the end of the day, but it's not one of those stories you want to go through. So if I was a Taurus right now, I'd be like, am I really paying attention to my day-to-day life? And do I have a grind going? Meaning, do I actually have a rhythm? Or is my rhythm way out of whack and I'm trying to wait for some outside energy to come? And I think that's what's weird with Venus right now. It's in your 7th house, right? And this week, we're not going to see it exactly opposite Uranus, but It's getting close to that. So when it comes to relationships, you're kind of overly focused on somebody right now. And I would say that, listen, no matter how focused you are, what you think you got to present yourself as, there's some deep subconscious work going on here with your wounds of your ego, and they're going to see through that. So if you're trying to get someone right now, they're going to see that ego because you're either skipping your day-to-day schedule that you need to, trying to adjust it too much. Your self-worth's low, so you feel that they'll give you some sort of value. They're not. If anything, it would cripple you more. So I would say this is a week to put the pass, and even next week, on some sort of love or work or any kind of interest of some sort of bondage that you want with somebody, because it's like you think they're going to deliver something, but the problem is you're going to deliver them pain, because it's going to deliver you more pain that you can't do what you are trying to put off that you can be. And it's about being okay with that and realize that Uranus is a great planet, but the problem with it, especially near the end of it, is everybody becomes too independent. If you remember the end of Uranus and Aries in 2018, when it came into Taurus, came back, there were so many breakups, so many people, because everybody at the end of Uranus transits wants freedom. That's your problem, though. You just want too much of your freedom. And then at the same time, you're dealing with this counterbalance of, and this is where the imbalance of your day-to-day life comes from. No, I don't want anybody, but I want this person. So it's almost like you've pushed everything away out of your life for a person that's unattainable, or they are not going to be satisfied with what you're throwing down. And then you're trying to prove value and worth, which, to be honest with you, is like, is your environment in a good space? That's where the trine this week that's building with the Sun, Mercury, over to Jupiter is saying, like, well, if your day-to-day life might seem boring, but it's healthy and it works, that's what attracts people right now for you. Not the glam show or not the glamour show or even the thing that I'm cool about or what I say in this cool way. No, it's more about the stability. You're a Taurus. And I think that you've forgotten about stability because of your independence. You were in a hole a long time, and now you choose to be in the hole because it feels good. It's really weird. So the theme of this month is, can you get yourself out of the hole without it being about some person? It's got to be on your own self, right? It's also about, how do you get back into your life spiritually with not taking things so personally, like in Aries, and getting upset or anything like that. If somebody has a criticism, 6th house, right? Or if anybody is offering you some sort of advice, like if you're so high in the self-worth, you wouldn't be triggered. But this is like a massive triggering time for Taurus, and actually a fearful time. Whenever there's a lot of Libra situations going on, and Aries, this is like your kryptonite. Your kryptonite is the fear of your day-to-day life not working, your health, and triggers. And then I want everybody to get the fuck out of my life. And then at the same time, I only want this one person that's going to come through, but they're the one not coming through. Talk about being stressful. So how can you de-stress? Stop chasing. Start getting back to yourself. Start getting yourself out of this independent hall by yourself, okay? You need a bunch of people to sign a Declaration of Independence as a one country. Get back to what are you doing, like with others? That's where Neptune Saturn is, right? And in your 11th house. And I think that that's the subconscious thing, is that fear of people, that fear of social aspects that isn't really working for your benefit. I think that this last Pluto direct in your sign is saying there's so much more to have to actually get you to those accomplishments and things and dreams that you want in your life. And it's going to take people, because Pluto in Aquarius in 10th house for you will be about the next 20 years it will be about knowing how to be around people, which is your number one fear. The only time you like people is when they're more like you. But the truth is, those are good friends, or they're lovers that seem like lovers, but they're really more like good friends. They're not actually your true partner, because true partners are going to balance you out and call you on your faults. And you're going to have to also call yourself out when you do a fault, right? And that's what you don't like to do. And I think that this is a very hard moment, because it's easy to put blame. It's easy to believe your story. So I would say, what's the story you've believed for 16 years? did you just manifest that story? But it actually is not really true. The facts don't say it, because the truth is there's so many other good things. And I think that the positive in this is that there is a better story that you're not believing is possible. The other thing too is with Mars and Cancer, this is in your third house. This is going to be part of that opposition. Your mental life, your day-to-day life, and then this comfort of the environment that you're in, go to what feels comfortable, but it better have a lot of things going on, not just like I'm here in a room by myself and what the fuck. It's not about just sitting and looking out the window. Like this is about you really learning to be comfortable in ever-changing environments and comfortable with communication, and communication that gets you to where people want to hear you, not because of what's the cool thing you're doing or how cool and independent or how badass or how innovative or how genius of an idea you have, but literally that you have a stable place and you're a stable person, and that you're not yearning and that you're not overly trying to reach for somebody or trying to keep on holding for somebody. It's kind of extremely anxious. And I think that, that gets people kind of like, okay, you're invading my space too much. And so, you're the one that's here to be secure. So how do you get back to being a secure person within yourself and watching your health? What is the health thing that's come up that you keep using Pluto, that Pluto's not going to allow you after this week to use for the next month and a half, right? It's not going to allow you to use the everything will be okay. I just will ignore this thing. I'll ignore my blood pressure thing. It's not that bad, but it is. I'll ignore seeing the doctor. I'll ignore this. I'll ignore that. I'll ignore. Not going to happen anymore. With even this moon coming in to square the sun, and then even by that full moon. So I would say you have to take care of yourself better, and you have to be more secure. And I think that sometimes, like, the thing that you're most afraid of being vulnerable about, which is probably something health related or in your day-to-day life and how it is, or that it's even in the weird hole of independence that you like, it can get fixed, but you have to go get the help, and you have to go get those things done. And you have to actually believe in a good story, and you need to, the universe, these are the last times also of even Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces, right? Next year, we're going to see them come into Aries. And of course, we'll see them back in Pisces again for one more round. But like, if you think about it in your life, like with Pluto and Capricorn in the 9th house, this is where the doors are with the right people and good people around. Stop pushing everybody away, especially because, or only being friends with people because there's somebody else that maybe you like or something like that. You're going to fail. And stop waiting for the one, because the problem is, how can there be a one when all you like to be is at one with yourself in a room by yourself doing your own weird thing? So let's see what you got card-wise here. Got the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. So you're way out of balance, and you're not juggling enough. You think you're juggling a lot. The truth is, if you were to go talk to anybody else on the street, you're not juggling that much. You think you are. And so the problem is, I think that you feel overburdened and overbarreled with so much that really it's more because you don't have enough, and you're sitting there just wasting time. And that's what the juggling match is wasting time of what to do or how to do it next. And that's the problem. All right, Taurus. Geminis. Whoa. I know it's been a minute for everyone to get Leo King sun sign horoscopes. I know that they all suck out there. Trust me, I know. I took a look when I took my break, and I was like, okay, I understand why you guys like them so much. I get it. And it is because of my own ego shit, even though, I got a little bit of an ego, but it's actually from a spiritual place. Like, it sucks out there. People do not know how to do them. It sucks. Or they're really quick and very basic, and they're reading. Do you notice they're reading? They're all reading. They're all reading, like pre-scripted and going down the list and all that. I can't fucking handle it. That's not high vibe shit to me, if you really think about it. That's some bullshit. All right, Gemini. Well, it's not the worst of times. I think you've been through a lot of those, okay? Jupiter retrograding in your sign, though, could make you fall into some sort of dramatic, like the sky's falling for a minute. It's not. Yes, you've been able to see what's possible. Is it going to be possible? Possibly. The whole part is the adventure, right? So remember, you're on an adventure. Remember that, yeah, you thought you were going to go on this car at Disneyland at the ride, and they're asking you to go on and sit in another seat right now. And that might get upsetting because of the viewpoint that what you want right now. Relax. First thing, Gemini, relax. Learn to have fun, because I feel like actually like it's kind of like false fun, or there isn't any fun at all. And what I mean by that is like with the South Node and all this Libra energy here, and with this Pluto and Capricorn that's going to station direct in your 8th house, life is full of life, and so it's met with death too, and there's extremes. And so the problem here is like, I think that you're feeling too much of the extreme, and the way that you counter that and balance out those extremes, whether it's fear of death, death anxiety, intimacy issues, lack of, the partner that actually delivers the goods in the sexual space. I mean, these are the things that are coming up for you and have been for 16 years. But it's learning to have fun to balance that, right? So the edge and the excitement, what keeps us alive is actually moving forward and living our life at the best that we can. And so I think that you do that pretty well. So I don't think that you're like bad right now. I just think that you've kind of forgotten it. And I think that with Venus here in Scorpio, I think it's a good look while Pluto's going to station direct. It's a good look at like, okay, the things I value in my life, am I getting what I want? Am I actually doing the day-to-day things that I value? And is it actually giving me my desires? Because what could be missing right now, death's attached to, there's no more reason for you to be here. That's what it's attaching to. Like, you're not really passionate about being here anymore, or you're not really driven to be here anymore, or you're afraid to be here, right? The universe doesn't let people that are super phobic about reality stay long. That might scare some people, but it's true. And especially when you deal with the mind. And Mars slowing down. It's in shadow now, and we're seeing it in the 2nd house, and it's going to oppose that Pluto. So a lot of the big question for this next 6 months is going to be, after we just had that solar eclipse that was in Libra, are you really happy? And are you working and being around people that actually bring that true happiness and those desires? It kind of reminds me of somebody who's like, well, I'm blessed. I have the thing that makes me happy, the person that makes me happy, the friend that makes me happy. But, it's like you're kind of afraid to actually test and see where this can be better in your life. Like, and this is why Jupiter's in your 1st house. This is why Mars is in the 2nd, and we're going to see it here retrograde and be here for a long time, and opposite this Pluto many times, going from the 8th to the 9th. The universe has a whole nother story for you, and you're afraid to face that. It's like you kind of want to laugh and be positive about something that's not that positive. So it's kind of like the Joker, kind of like, ha, 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 oh, right? Like, I really don't, no, I'm great. I'm doing wonderful. Oh, and I think that it's like you need to test your courage here about what you really want, what you know for 16 years now, what you need to get you off in life, and your passions and your spiritual, sexual needs. What are the people that kind of have it, but don't really have it, right? That you're dealing with. Well, I kind of wanted the friend that was cool. Well, he's kind of cool. Well, I've always wanted the partner that, will actually want to do this and want to do that. Well, they kind of talk about it, but they never do. And I think also this is okay for you, because if you just even see where Venus is, after we come out of this week and into the next week, everything's going to start coming into Scorpio, right? And then we're going to start seeing Venus come into Sag. And so then there's going to be a Mercury retrograde in Sag, opposite Jupiter. So you're coming into some massive relationship things over these next couple months. And so this is kind of a preview week for you of like, Pluto's gonna ask, are you really ready to make a big shift in your day-to-day life? Because Pluto rules your sixth, right? So your health's bad because you're not getting what you want. So if you're having a health issue, a weight issue, a day-to-day work issue, or feeling like life is unknown, it's an issue with your desires not being met because you're too afraid, and you're putting too many walls up, and you're too afraid to break those walls down, and you're too afraid to let in what you actually really want. And you're kind of laughing it off and kind of overly sprinkling something that you're taking an old donut and you're throwing new icing on it to try and make it seem like it's fresh, but it's not, right? But honestly, I don't think it's a horrible time for you. I mean, the hard part might feel like in your career, it's taking longer. Saturn in your 10th, Neptune here. But I think that a good part of it, though, is on the first level. It's not about what happens and materializes first with any sign or any planet transit. It's always on the spiritual level. So it's like, where are you not executing your spiritual needs? And where are you still in the same pattern, loop, story that really isn't what you really want? And I think that for you, it's like that Uranus is too afraid to rebel in the 12th. It's the suppressed fear of being too rebellious at this moment because you think you're going to lose something good when really you've gotten all that you can get out of it, whether it's a job, a relationship, whatever it might be, this day-to-day life thing. And that can go, again, a relationship, a career, the city you live in, whatever this story has been, it's over. Not all parts of it, but a main part that just nags you every day, that wherever you're too afraid to say, fuck it, let's see what happens. That's the only way you're going to make it through this now, is saying, fuck it. I'm going to let go and see what this is, right? Whether it's a friendship, whether it's a relationship, somebody you're dating. And also, I mean, if you're not even pleasuring yourself, there's a problem, right? Or if you're not getting pleasure back, there's a major problem. The 5th house deals with where we actually have more fun in the sexual area. The 8th house, of course, is that deeper intimacy that we build upon and the commitments that we make. But there's an issue here where it's kind of like, dry. Or you could be not into the person. And I hate to be the guy that's going to tell you it's about this second 8th house right now. It's about this 5th house. It's about all the ingredients, especially when Venus comes into Sag in about another week and a half, that you'll look back at this and be like, this motherfucker. And especially when Jupiter retrogrades and when we see Pluto station direct. And for you, if you think about it, if it's about your 1st house and your 8th house, it's about what you really want and how are you going to expand to get it and see what's new and look at the facts too. Be a Gemini. Like, if it's dry and barren, it's dry and barren. Stop trying to pour some sort of crazy storm or some category 5 hurricane over the desert right now. Like, it's not going to happen. So, where are you afraid to rebel for things that you've already gotten all that the universe has asked for you to have or experience? Like, I think that would be a good thing kind of to look at everything in your life. Like, where is this over and why are you afraid to let it go? Like, where is it where you feel like it's closed? Where is it where you're not feeling the attractiveness or you're not feeling the passion anymore? Where is that person, place, or thing? Whatever it might be. Time to say, fuck it. I hope we see the Gemini come back. I do. Because for some reason, the universe has pulled all Geminis into the weirdest fucking space where it's kind of like, what? You're always the one that mouths off and says, nah, fuck this, I'm not going to do that, and is the good time. But for some reason, you forgot what a good time is. All right. I know nobody will tell anybody these things out there online. They're too fucking scared. You got a Queen of Pentacles, and it's upright. So I know this is a good time for you, but you have to remember the Queen of Pentacles, she only sits and matures and holds on to things that are of worth. And for you, I think that this is where the only things right now you should be focused on are the things that actually will continue to be of true value to you in all ways and forms. I'll pull one more card. 8 of Wands. It's part of this moving forward into new energy and really where the fire's directed towards. Passions. All right, Cancer. Oh, Cancers. I know this will be just about a month. I don't know. I've tried for years to pull the Band-Aid off for you and let the wound be seen for what it is of life. But now that Jupiter retrogrades in your 12th, this is the hardest transit in astrology, right? So you haven't had this in 12 years. I'd go back to what was going on in your life at around Halloween time, November, December, January of 2012 into 13, because this is the rug. This is Aladdin, right? Sorry, the genie's not yours anymore, and you're not a prince anymore. Right? And you're back to square one. Now, Pluto in the 7th house stationing direct. So I think that it's kind of that story of like, whether you're Jasmine or whether you're Aladdin here, but you know, the real truth, like all the like pizzazz is gone of like what's been happening. Or if you're with nobody, like, geez, like you've really kind of fallen into a trap of your own doing here when it comes to control, or you're being controlled. So your issue right now, Cancer, is you kind of like the person that's bad in your life that's controlling you, and this is a one-on-one relationship, or you're afraid of relationships, you're extremely avoidant, and you have, I'm in control. Either one is a fucking problem. And the universe is like, I'm going to show you what's really happening, and it might get ugly, right? Jupiter retrograde in the 12th is very hard. Especially for you, this is the hardest thing, is you put so much integrity and authority, and you give so much that you almost like give even all of your work ethic and all of the stuff that you would achieve to somebody else. That's why the problem for Cancers is always this Capricorn when Pluto's here, because if you notice, it's like look at every Cancer situation. I mean, if you think about like Prince William, he's a Cancer. Is his wife AI and he walks around and says that she's alive and she's dead? Maybe he watches the AI version that they make him a little fucking AI version of her that he can still feel like she's around, but even though she's not. All I'm saying is the gig is up, right? Like for you, and lying to yourself constantly about, no, everything's fine when it comes to my relationship life. And Mars, of course, in your sign is giving you an extended period for you to focus on the courage, and it's going to feel like a battle since you've waited so long, right? That Mars opposite Pluto for this next 5-6 months, especially when the retrograde comes. Or even Mars this week square Chiron. Like, I think for you, it's about authority for yourself instead of always focusing on this Libra South node. And this is where it gets really hard. All this stuff in Libra with the sun that's going to square the moon and getting ready to square Pluto and Mars and all that shit, right? Is your problem is being a Cancer. You're caring too much. You've harbored the wrong energy. You've let the vampire in the door, right? And vampires just can't walk in. You have to invite them in. And whether that's your control issue, because you don't want, and your avoidance of, I'm just going to stay safe. I don't want anybody around. Or I'm just going to keep taking this horrible situation where you're getting kind of gutted, right? You're not getting actually fairness and actually any peace and security. And that's where that Venus in the fifth has a lot of drama that's coming to oppose Uranus, right? If you think about it, it's like this Venus in Scorpio is dispositing everything in your fourth house. So when it comes to where is your home life and where is your actual like foundation disrupted, your love life, your happiness. And there's weird issues since Pluto's in Scorpio and Pluto's going to station direct in Capricorn in your seventh house. So it's dispositing Venus in the fifth. So it's 100% about romantic relationships where you deny yourself and where you take a beating that isn't even, you will look back one day and be like, I can't even believe I kept that going. And then the fear of what will happen in public, the fear of you going against some sort of religious or some sort of spiritual belief or some sort of spiritual pledge or promise, or just, it could even be the bad belief, like, no, all relationships are bad, so I'm in control. Or, well, they beat me, or they do whatever, or they treat me like shit. Or you could be dealing with somebody who's full-blown narcissist, straight up like hardcore avoidant in your life that doesn't ever want to be around, really, only to control. And a lot of that might be the belief that, well, they are that way, but I'm going to keep working through it. I think that you're at kind of like danger zone. I've said that before, but this is, to be very blunt, you know, there is no more, well, excuses, one, and then two, there is no more flexibility left. So all that's left now is every ding on the wall is going to actually go through the wall, meaning like there's no more bumpers, there's no more protection, there's no more, you know, and when Jupiter's in the 12th, remember, when it's direct, the angels are there to protect you. When it's retrograde, they pull away and make you find them in the hardest way. They're there, but they don't intervene much because you need to learn how to be more spiritual. So that's what makes it scary, because for you, it's your mind games. Like, well, God wouldn't do this to me. God isn't doing anything to you. You're doing it to yourself. You're not listening to the facts. It's also the house of trap. So it's almost like, well, I'm just going to give up. I'm in a hard trap. It's easier to stay in the trap than to try and get out. Well, I'm here to tell you, no, it's not. Especially because another way to look at it would be like, okay, you're in a hole, a trap, but there's some weird green and smelly water coming into that fucking hole now. You better start trying to climb your way out. And Uranus in the 11th, again, it's like there's an open window. It's kind of like being a teenager. Open the window, escape, and the things that people that really value and the things that you really want are out there. But you're afraid to do that, whether you are blocking people from coming in or you're being in a controlled situation where you can pretty much not really be what you want to be in. And I think the worst thing in the world for any Cancer or Cancer rising is, I'll put it to you this way. Capricorn 7th house is, you want somebody that you can show off, right? You want somebody that you can go to a nice, like, you know, charity event with. They wear a nice suit or a dress, and that you don't have to worry about them, and that you don't have to worry about what they're going to be doing to you. You're in all the above where that's not possible right now, without it being fake or without it being like some crazy, like, but nobody knows except yourself the crazy shit you go through the 10 minutes before you walk out the door and the 10 minutes before you walk in the event. That it's catastrophically scary. and harsh and not feeling like home. And this is about letting go of the responsibility and also trying to prove to yourself, and for some reason with the North Node in Aries and Chiron, you're almost trying to prove to the world that no, I'm not a failure. Guess what? You're a failure when you don't show us when it's so bad, whether you try to control and not let anything in, not let anybody in, or when you let a controller take over your life. You're a failure because you didn't fucking deal with that situation. You need to look at it the other way. And it's going to get brutal because this is in your 7th. So it's destabilizing you. And all these energies in Libra with the South Node means it's saying don't be the traditional Cancer that you are. 4th house, right? You're the only sign that's got this, where it's like the house that happens to be, right, for the 4th house, you is Libra. So all this South Node stuff is saying don't be you. Stop being the emotional, let me take care, let me just keep taking care of myself. No, you need to be out there. You need to go see. You need to go meet people. You need to go change it up. And if you're with somebody who can't accept that, and somebody who can't be public, and somebody where there's a lot of shit, like there is no trying to, with this Jupiter retrograde in the 12th, to erase it. Remember, Jupiter, when it crosses into Cancer, it's about the whole jump of the new you. So this is a 12-year story where you can't keep taking an eraser and redacting parts of what's been happening. You have to look at it for what it really is and what the script actually played out. And if you want to keep playing that script 100 times until you finally get it, I guess that might be what happens over the next 4 months. But I wouldn't recommend that with the Mars retrograde coming in your sign. And I would not recommend that with this Mars in opposite Pluto 3 times over the next 6 months. That you're facing extremely more volatile situations. It could be volatile, like face to face, like craziness, or it's a little bit easier if you face it kind of now because, like, it's kind of hard to get a U-Haul. All right, that's hard, but that's a lot easier than the other kind of weird situations. Or, God forbid, you're not in a relationship, you're not dating anybody because you're a control freak. You're going to let somebody fucking invite you up to have a talk and trust that they're not going to do something crazy to you and that they're a good person. Oh my God. But how are you going to take care of yourself? Taking your authority back? Stop having the wounds of, well, what would everyone think? What would everyone say? No, everybody knows. You're going to get more of like, don't worry, we all knew, than, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would do that. No, it's more like, we were all ready to call. Make sure that you're alive. Weird shit like that. So, Knight of Cups reversed. You're stuck. You think you're moving forward when you're actually sliding deeper into the quicksand. So my advice here would be stop pushing the direction you've been and all the way that you've come up with all these ideas and stories in your head, that it's going to be okay. No, this is where you need to ask for a lifeline and get pulled out, and also be at peace with that. There's a different emotional and a better emotional direction for you in your life. And don't get emotional about it. All right, Leos. My Leo rising friends. True story, right before I did this horoscope, I used this mic to do the focus, and literally this is very Pluto 6th house. I'm talking about Pluto coming direct in the 6th. And just even going through the move and then moving into this place and then remembering I got to set up a whole studio and lighting and all this shit and fucking whatever. Well, right before I was about to do this live, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I saw the soda right here. And I'm like, nah, I won't hit it. No, of course it hit it. It came on the ground and the fucking soda went all over these fucking windows. So it's like the little thing that you know you should do, like move the soda before you move something. Go to bed or do the thing, whatever it is in the day-to-day life that's like, because it's the frustration that it creates. Like, it's like, I should have done that, but I fucking waited. Or you're feeling overwhelmed and taking on way too much. You've got to learn how to time manage better. That's number one. Number two, this Mars in opposition and the Mars retrograde coming that's going to be in Leo and then come back in the 12th is, you know, the reason why your life is changing so much and not looking like ever before is because it's a new you that's starting to come. And right now, you're swimming through the memories of what used to be, and that's okay. But you have to remember, this is about not trying to, you know, revive them. The more new that you come about, the better. The more that you try to let go, the better. The more that you accept that life is changing, the better. Now, Jupiter retrograde in your 11th, it's saying, okay, did I find where my new people are or anything like that? Probably, or probably not. Probably not. I remember last Jupiter when I went retrograde, I'm like, I have no idea where the people are. And a lot of it is like where you feel like whether you're doing work or especially with this Taurus stuff, like Uranus and Taurus, like you're doing all this work and nobody's seeing it kind of energy or nobody's around. And it's true. No, like, and there are people, but like it's more of a worldly thing. The reason why that's happening is because there's so much over this Jupiter retrograde over the next 4 months that's going to happen. With the Mars retrograde in your sign, coming back into your 12th, the retrograde, Pluto coming into your 7th house of Aquarius, all this Libra energy in your 3rd. This is you letting go of all the mind tricks and all the stress. The problem is the stress. All this 9th house, the healing is going to come from being much more open to new possibilities, whatever's out there, whatever the universe is a better thing for you, take it. Venus and Scorpio, you could take some time to not have to rush so much, have a better time management, but also how do you just like take care of yourself? Like, do you need to take a shower? Or I just went back into my jacuzzi last 2 nights. I'm like, oh, that felt really nice. I fell asleep easier. It's very simple stuff right now. Remember, the 6th house is actually simple, and this Pluto's like trying to make the simple unsimple. Like I didn't have to do the window. If all I would have done is just that 1 extra second to just move the soda. And I was sitting there watching it and being like, no, I'll get around it. Stop. Also at the same time, you're here to be here for a bunch of people. So if you're a Leo that's really centered on just yourself, this would be the worst time ever for you. And if you are one of those, I feel sorry for you because the writing's been on the wall for a while. This has not been about you. The whole Pluto Aquarius has been this is about other people. This is about other people. This is about other people. This is about your partnerships. These are about your relationships. This life isn't about just you. Don't worry. That feeling where you're going to start to feel like things come for you again will be after the Mars retrograde. So not till we get to the spring of next year. You just need to right now go, I'm here for service. I'm here for duty. I'm here to help people. I'm here to keep scanning and seeing where the new trends are, where's exciting in the world, and let go of, you don't even have to like rebuttal in conversation. You don't even have to debate. This is a time for you to just be like, oh, okay, and learn and just be there for people. And Jupiter in the 11th, be there for people. Pluto in the 6th, do the service. Commit to the service. It's frustrating, but you know what? You've done a lot of work, but I think that the problem for you is like, you're tired. All you need to do is find better time management, take some breaks, be positive about it. You don't need to have it all figured out. It's okay to live where it's not all understood. It's okay. You know how to be happy. So I think that there's no happiness issue going on. I think it's more like, well, it's kind of like I'm having to do everything for God, the service work. And then Neptune and Saturn in the 8th, like it kind of feels like, well, I don't get much in return. It's like you're getting a massive amount in return slowly because of how much you're investing in for a long term, right? And also it's about learning that the universe has cut off that kind of edge that makes you a Leo. Let that go. It's okay. It's not going away forever. It's making you remember it. And what was the boundary issues? Where were you using the edge too much? Where was the edge good that now that you miss it, that you, when it comes back, it'll help you? So to be honest, it kind of feels like, you know, to be a king or queen where it's doing everything but sitting on the throne and having a nice day and not doing shit and everybody doing things, everything's for you. It's quite the opposite. You're in the field helping the people, and yeah, there's not a lot of the edge or the excitement, and you're not getting received a lot. You know, it's kind of like, well, I got to stay on the trail to get to the next city to go help people. Okay. It's also with the sixth house with Pluto is like, it can become feeling like bitter about this, like, well, life's boring. It's so, everybody's boring. It is boring. You're what make it great. But right now you're feeling that part where it's extremely boring. And you're having to learn to accept that life gets boring and that not everything's going to come towards you all the time. Not everything's going to fall out of the sky and just drop in your lap, because we get used to that as Leos. Everything just falls in our lap. Nothing's falling in your lap. You got to work that extra for it right now. And it you know, the whole lesson is to not have fear about something. And it feels like everything's kind of being pushed into whole different places. And it is. It's going to make it a better kingdom. It's going to help you find the new place in the world. It's going to help you know how to serve people and appreciate and do. You can do everything. The whole lesson here is you know how to do it all now, but the universe is continuing to push that. Of all the signs now, I think that, you know, it could be really difficult for Leo if Leo's attached to its ego staying the same or its identity and expecting others to show up the way that you want to, or receiving from the universe everything. Nope, none of that. So it could be extremely hard, or it could be very easy if you're just in a place of accepting how it is and not getting into the I deserve. There's nothing that you deserve right now, because all that stuff that you have and that you will be given, you already know it is. Just keep doing the work. Just keep doing the work. It feels like having to be a rat in a cage, just spinning on the fucking wheel, but it's not forever. And just keep doing the grind. If there's the only sign that's grinding this hard, it's Leo. And not getting any glam or getting a lot of attention, it's Leo. And so this is also clearing out the mind games, and you don't need to think so much about how you can make your life better. You just got to just not try to intervene too much, be there for people, show up, and learn. Life's a school, and right now with the North Node in Aries and Neptune and Saturn in the 8th, it's a school, and you're not getting all of the big things. So it kind of might remind you of being in school. Leos don't like being in school unless we're the one talking, or, you know, the social aspects of it. But none of that's happening right now. It's a school with not a lot of social. It's a school with not a lot of payback and not a lot of edge. There's not a lot of recess. The recess is kind of boring right now. But it's because the whole universe is shifting how we're going to show people how to have fun and be creative and be there for people and actually care and be the realest motherfuckers on the planet and know how to do all things, right? Wear every hat. Most people don't know how to do that. So that's the big thing. If you see right now, we think, well, people need that right now. They don't. It hasn't got too crazy yet for them. When it gets too crazy for that, that's when we'll be on the scene. That's what these next 4 months will be about. And so there'll be those moments that'll keep you going. But right now, it's okay that you don't know where it's going in the future. You probably have good ideas about it. The universe has dropped a lot of clues, and Just keep doing the work in the service and keep finding better time management and finding ways to also just do the work. And again, with Pluto, you can have the best time management and like with me, nope, the light things aren't here. This isn't here. The internet's not here, whatever it might be. Right. And it's like, who cares? The big thing is, who cares? Don't take anything personally right now. Because everybody's personally fucked up out there, and we're having to just be that sounding board of, oh, I understand, and be there for people because everyone's fucked up. There's nothing to be dramatic about right now, and that's what makes it weird, because we're actually pretty secure. It's just in our mind or wanting all the excess, when right now, you don't need that excess. All right, let's see, Leo. Ten of Wands. Yep, it is a trip of where all the weight is on your back and shoulders, and you just got to keep getting to where it is. It's building a lot of stamina and resilience, and staying on the resilience to get to the final destination. We can start to see right now where it will lead, but we also know the gauge and how time and how much longer it will be. So be okay with that. Don't expect some sort of crazy surprises. There aren't much right now. All right. Virgo. All right, Virgos. Well, what do you really have in your life? You have probably the things that you like and that you love. But the big question with this Jupiter retrograde and Pluto stationing direct for the last time in your fifth house is you have everything but the final destination that you really feel committed to in your destiny and your actual true happiness. So the second house with all this Libra going to be squared to Pluto, and of course the moon over these couple of weeks, but especially just this week with this big square from the moon. It's the grind of love, and happiness shouldn't be such a grind. And it shouldn't be, some long, state regulations and rules that you need to follow at the workplace of how to access love. So the filter of like how people need to experience like true happiness with you, there's a lot of rules, right? And these are the rules also on yourself. Like, I think for you, you have to let go of like this over idealized idea of self-worth. Like, oh, you know what? I have to eat this because, my body's so worth it. Yeah, it's worth it, but you're also like not enjoying it. It's like, you're going to sit there and just continue to not have flavor? I think the big problem here is that there's not a lot of flavor going on. This Mars in the 11th, that's going to be in opposition to Pluto, is like the secret desires that you really want are really in this world that you can see this launch to life that really could be finally attaining that true happiness. But you need to learn how to express happiness. And then that means that you have to learn to be more unfiltered about happiness, meaning you're unfiltered when it comes to like criticism, for example, or your values that need every explanation in all the, especially Libra, you have all the evidence to why this value system needs to, everybody, you can convince anybody, and that's not a bad thing. But I think that you are an empty vessel when it comes to your true needs and desires. And of course, relationship wise, it's sloppy, but you don't show it. And in some cases, beyond sloppy. The Jupiter-Saturn square for you is a big deal because they're in fixed sign, in mutable signs, and you're Virgo, right? And so you're dealing with this contraction with relationships, and the universe is trying to push you into this new stratosphere of your career and your long-term goals. But both aren't going to go together. Right. So like your partnership isn't up leveling. If anything, you're up leveling and they're down leveling. or there's a fear because they're going through some sort of hard time, Saturn, right? So you have a partnership going through hard shit and you're trying to go up. How's that going to work? And the question lies, how have you been treated? How have you really felt happy? And have you tried to create, again, another value system that has all this evidence, but why are you trying to prove it? Like, why are you trying to prove that you don't need to prove you're happy. You don't need to have evidence to why this is so good in your life or whatever. I think that for you with Uranus in the ninth, it's saying, fuck it. Like, it's okay that stories change more and more and crazier in different directions. But I think that the wound here is that, you know, you really can't identify with that it's what you want. It's like going to the store and saying, well, do you have that juice drink I want? It's like, well, no, we have a different one. It's like, okay, I guess I'll accept that other thing. So I'm happy, but I'm not all the way happy. I'm not getting the actual brand that I want or the actual thing that I want or the person that brings me the happiness. Like it's always kind of weird. It's kind of like, well, I'll accept. For you, it's like, I'll accept the second best, the third best even. Or I'll accept nothing at all. And I think that the Virgos that are like, I'm not accepting anything until it's at that degree. Well, that's probably a better thing. But at the same time, you've kind of maybe put that bar too high. And I think that you have to like sometimes get through things to actually make sure your value systems are correct. But the main thing here is your value systems are all fucked up. Your self-worth's all fucked up. And the evidence that you keep trying to provide you or others or all these people about why you do what you do, you need to stop. I think that you need to go right to the target of what you want in your life. But to say that and to see you do it is probably the hardest thing that I think will ever transpire from an astrologer to a whole zodiac and rising signs. You do not want to go hit the target you want because you're too afraid. You know, and I think that, you know, you're carrying this high standard externally and internally, but where are they not matching is the question. And I think the other part of this is like, how was your childhood? Now, the reason why I ask that, the fifth house deals with your inner child, but it deals with your childhood. And with Pluto here, it's digging up that your love life, your happiness, your relationship life is a repeat of what happened to you as a kid. And so maybe you didn't really get to experience it fully, but you got kind of the aftermaths or you got kind of the little parts of it, right? But you didn't really, you're actually mirroring what your childhood, what love was like in your life from your parents, from all the things that were happening. You're actually replaying their situation that you were a kid in. So stop trying to prove that you've made and created something great. Because if I were to give you that truth and show you it's going to end up however it did with your parents and whatever the bitterness was or whatever the things are where they've, you know, it's kind of like the one you missed. Or why did I continue to keep doing this? That really it's been more about what I can prove, what I can show people I'm doing and what I've been able to accomplish in the more basic sense of like, I created a great happiness, or I created myself to be fully abundant, or I made money, or I got a good job, or I've got a relationship. I've got this. It's more about your attachment to the ideas and the actuality of it instead of what it actually is. Like that you double down on how great it is because you did it. That's nice. I kicked a soccer ball, but I don't want to prove to people that I'm a soccer player because I hate soccer. I hate playing it. I hate watching it. I don't even like to kick a soccer ball. So I don't need to go kick a soccer ball and tell people I kicked a soccer ball in my life. That's how you got to look at your relationship life, your career life, and everything going on right now. Because it's just like you're replaying your deep inner child wounds. And, you know, when I went through Pluto in the 5th, when it came to the end, oh boy, I remember it being like, I'm not going to go replay what happened in my childhood. I'm not going down that road. I'm going to go live the life that actually makes me happy. I'm going to go be an astrologer and a DJ. It's not till the end of Pluto in the 5th, period, that any sign or your own natal chart, so if you're a Virgo ascendant, this is part of you, and all Virgos, all of you don't even really know what you really love in life until this last month that's coming up here. And actually until this Jupiter retrograde and this Pluto direct this week. It will finally be like, oh, fuck. And it's always the place of the biggest pivot because our heart pivots more than the 11th house. The 11th house feels unpredictable. Other people and all these things or unexpected events. And that feels like a pivot that's crazy. Because it is kind of crazy because it's like there's some sort of force that's happening or energy. But the pivot within oneself of the heart actually lighting up and being like, no, I'm going to do what actually makes me really happy. And again, that 8th house and Chiron there's this wound around, I don't want to come across too intense for what I want. I don't want to push for it too hard. I don't want to look slutty. I don't want to look sleazy. I don't want to look a certain way. That's your problem. Even that Venus that's down here in your 3rd right now, you know, it's like your mind is actually pretty clear on what your values are, but it's not when it's this attachment to what you've already manifested or what you've already been able to create, instead of actually like, what does your heart really want? Because remember, that Pluto stationing direct activates that Venus that's in Scorpio. It's the only planet in Scorpio. Or Jupiter retrograde in your 10th. Oh, well, where's Mercury? Oh, it's in Libra, your 2nd house. So, you know, this is about like, is it really that good, your career? Is it really good, that job? You could be doing a lot more and you could be doing a lot better with whatever tools you have or whatever position you're in. And this is where you really learn to either go for it. And I'll end with this. You either really go for your wildest childhood dreams or you restrict it because you're too afraid. The only other sign that you could rely on that went through this last 16 years ago for the 14 years prior was Leo and Leo risings. And you're talking to the guy who said, I'm fucking going to go do it. But it's easy for Leos. Sag, 5th house, it's easy. You believe. You don't believe, though. You want to have it all planned out. You want to be like, well, I won't do it unless the other person or unless the job or unless the thing has a guarantee or a work note or whatever. That's the problem with you. It always has to have the plan seen. And I need concrete evidence that's going to be there. No, you need to learn to go and follow your heart and actually have that as the authority. That your heart has to write the checks that you know it will be able to cash without the cash in the emotional heart bank right now. And you don't know how to do that. You don't know. You get close and then you're like, no, I'm not going to be able to. And then you find a way to get out and pull out. That's your problem. And I dare you. And maybe sometimes it's the best thing. You need to dare yourself. Pluto and Cap, you gotta learn to dare yourself. And that, yeah, it's gonna be the tallest mountain to climb of your life, which you just did, but you didn't actually do it to the path that you wanted. So there's like if I want to be honest with you, you're looking around and doing this. Fuck, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't exciting. I remember the end of my Pluto in the 5th transit being like, fuck, well, I definitely don't like selling cars, even though I make good money. I don't like selling cars. I don't like being in a relationship that's telling me to have a 401k or basically I'll have to guess every day if I'm going to be in a relationship or not. Like, fuck that shit. All right, Virgos, what do we got? You got the Ace of Cups, a whole new emotional place to go in your life, a whole new, like, refresh, and then take a look at everything instead of getting so entrenched in everything. I think you're too entrenched. I think you need to take a nice spiritual shower, clear your energy, and look with new, fresh eyes at and emotional eyes at everything, and realize there, and especially, are you replaying your parent situation? Whatever that is. Like, what was the common thread? Were they really different? Did they not really get along? Were they so similar and did the same job, but like now you're with somebody who, oh, we're so similar, we do the same thing? Whatever those things are, you're playing it out, and the way that it will end will be exactly what that story was. That's what the secret I've been holding for you till this moment. All right, Libras. We're halfway through. I'm going to check the chat. It's been a minute since I did one of these. And for everybody, just so you know, I don't hate doing these. I might have said, like, they're kind of, it's like kind of like, because like I've done them so many times. I've taught so many people. I'm like, you should know how to do this already, but I understand. I have no problem doing them. I actually enjoy doing them. Hence, I've been doing them for over 12 years. But, you know, I think the hard part for me is like, people don't see it. People don't. I have to be the one that tells you all this stuff that you can't see it through the astrology. Like, really? But I get it. That's why you're on this channel. So I guess it gives me value. But okay. Libra. Number one thing, you're the one sign we have to talk about, right? South node's in your sign. Your ego has to die. Okay. So everything of who you've been over the last 19 years, you need to let go, like, and stop going back and doing the Libra thing, whether you're Libra rising, Libra sun, and doing the whole, well, let me compare now to then. Stop. It's like Kamala. I was an attorney general. You're not a fucking attorney general anymore. You're running for the president. I was an attorney general. Shut up. It's a different job. So the number one thing is, and especially because relationships are where the focus is, which is, I've been saying this to you all for this whole North Node Aries transit. The one time in your life for 18 months, and it's almost over, right? You're like 15 months left, or 15 months into this transit. You're literally at a place to where it's like the whole universe has been fighting for you to have great relationships. But no, it's like my ego, my own life, my world. What do I get? This is the problem, especially with Saturn, Neptune here in the 6th house. Like, your life is going to take a while to get into rhythm, but at least you can do it with somebody. If you're alone, Libra out there, or trying to do the independent thing, or trying to do the ego and compare it, you are not understanding, and you're trying to fast track to some place that's not even there. Okay. This is also why Jupiter's going to retrograde in your 9th. It's going to show you the facts of, okay, the stories that you want, factually, can those happen, or which ones can and which ones can't? And the Pluto direct is in the 4th house, meaning I come from a middle-class family. Okay, that's not the true Pluto Capricorn, right? What happened in your middle-class family? What was the situation at your home life? So what Pluto's doing is going, where are you extremely uncomfortable and trying to always have emotional control? And, you know, the truth is that you're afraid to be emotionally vulnerable. Like, that's what at the end of every Pluto in the 4th is. Whenever I remember my end of Pluto in the 4th, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm scared of this world, like, and really showing who I am, right? Like, you know, it's almost like you're sucking on the baby bottle of control to feel safe and secure. And if you think about it, this moon in Capricorn, the square to the Libra energies, and doing your birthday period here for Libras, this is a time for you to realize, like, you need to let go of who you used to be, because those emotions are not going to take care of you from the past, like of who you used to be. They weren't better than now. They were actually worse, because you're in where the universe is. Remember, I've always said this, the South Node is the dump truck. So now that we've had the eclipses and now that the sun's past it, all of the trash of who you used to be, the dump truck's taking it. So stop committing your emotions to, well, it was better then. I think with Venus that's in Scorpio in your second house, and then the opposition to Uranus that's happening in your eighth is, yeah, you are looking at a lot of your values and so forth, but Uranus in the eighth is saying, hey, all right, you have a lot of things that you want to connect with. You want your freedom to choose, but where is the common ground? And do you show up the same way that other people show up? Meaning, so we'll go to Taurus. If we're betting and we're playing cards, we all at the table have said we're putting $5 bet on this hand. Why are you trying to put one and act like it's okay? That Mars in the 10th, and this is what's going to be really strangulating. That Mars in the 10th is the happiest Mars going on right now, okay? Out of any sign. But the strangulation of it is, it's the soldier that's like, I want to be successful. I want my career to do great, right? It's in the 10th house. So at least it's like, okay, I'm getting my fucking exaltation here. The problem is that fall. And it's in opposition to that Pluto in the 4th. So it's like, you are never going to go anywhere until you deal with your past deep emotional buried wounds, fears, control issues over your emotions. And that could be subconscious and repressed ones of like, I'm trying to control relationships, people, my work, everybody, to make sure that I feel the way that I want to feel. And it's all about you. When it needs to be all about, hey, I'm showing up fairly. I'm showing up on the same team, and getting rid of this Chiron where Mars is going to square, where you feel like, well, my relationships are getting in the way of my career. No, your career is getting in the way of harmony and relationships. You can have both. You just don't know how to do that because you're so focused on your emotional pains from the past where you chose the worst partnerships, especially 9 years ago, over the last 9 years, right? Until we saw 15 months ago. And even when we had North Node and Taurus in the 8th, like, you've made the better choices. But here it's like, when things get too good, guess what? You get bored. Like, oh my God, there's something wrong. And that's where that Jupiter in the 9th, thank God it's retrograde, because you know what? It's going to retrograde and be like, no, we're not going on that crazy little weird adventure that doesn't have any facts to it that you just made up in your head that you think is going to be better. No, that's not going to happen. You think that I would send you, Libra, on a fucking journey that you made up in your head that's going to be great when you have emotional issues of control? No way. You're not even ready for that because you have too much control issues emotionally. Or fear of abandonment, or fear of, that's the 4th house, right? So it deals with your family. It deals with, do you feel comfortable? And for you only feel comfortable once everything's understood, control-wise, timing, all this kind of shit. Even with Saturn in the 6th house, that's dispositing that, plus Venus in the 2nd. It's kind of like, you're asking for the impossible to feel comfortable. And then the whole fact is, you got to drop this whole idea of what you think is the thing that'll make you feel comfortable and let it go, because it's coming from this ego perspective, like my needs, my wants, and what I want to show. You're trying to show the world who you are when it's not your time. It's here to show everybody why you came here to be a Libra, about relationships, right? And that's why we had this North Node Aries, and we've got Chiron here, right? You're learning to go, okay, my relationship wounds come from me, not the other. You pick people who know who they are. And that's the trigger, because you don't know who you are. But now you know who you are, and you don't know how to be with people who know who they are when you know who you are. You're always the one who is a blank sheet of paper, and then they help define who you are. Now it's like, oh, wait, I don't know how to actually be in partnership with people who know who they are while I know who I am and what I want. That's what your Chiron wound is. And you don't know how to feel safe, because it always was safe for people to write in what they want, even though that pissed you off at the end of the day. It felt safe because it was like, well, they're showing that they like me and they want me. And that's all of your family wound shit. Because a lot of people, Libras always kind of have to deal with like, oh yeah, we're kind of here for you. But like, it's kind of a little bit more like prison, the home. A lot of rules, a lot of ways to be. And you got to let go of that and not bring that into your relationships or bring that into how would that affect your career, right? Nobody wants a control micromanager around in your career life. So the good news here, Libra, you're letting go of what was a dramatic, wild drama story that 19 years ago and the last 19 years of your life had lots of that, and letting go of the toxicity within you that you still hold on and not projectile vomiting that on to relationships, and learning patience. Saturn and Neptune in the 6th. You're learning how to build the new rhythm. You're learning how to get in a rhythm with relationships, with people that feel different because you've never known who you were. So the good part of the South Node is it's helping you with relationships be like, okay, as long as I know who I am and they know who they are, that's good. That's what you came here for. Stop trying to go, I just want to where I don't know, or now I can control and find somebody who's now got a blank sheet of paper and I'm going to tell them what to do. Or stop trying to draw on people who've got their pieces of paper defined and you're trying to scribble all over it. So the problem here, Libra, is that you're trying to control, and the control issues emotionally mainly are the problem in your life, and why people are probably approaching you like, what the fuck's going on? Because you're dealing with Mars in opposition to that Pluto. So there's definitely, especially in the 10th house, right? You're being called out about things and about your personal life, and you want to be successful, but it's like they want you to be successful, but nope, you don't want to deal with those things, but you have to. And you have to drop this kind of like belief system that's really been based off not facts, but kind of like creating whatever the story is that you want, because you're really good at that. To be a good judge, you kind of have to make a good story. Like, I called them guilty because the evidence said this and they said that. But really, you know what? I didn't like the way that guy fucking acted at me in court. But you have to tell the story, right? It might not be fact, but you can make the facts look like facts really easy. And that's the problem with Libra, is to be truly fair and balanced, you have to weigh the evidence out as it is, opposed to creating it. And that's your problem, is you're creating this egoic identity of this, what's fair and what I deserve. That's hoopla. So it's a lot deeper than I come from a middle-class family. And I think it's a good time for you, because destiny says this is your moment to finally feel comfortable in your own skin and around others, while being not somebody's arm candy, while not you being somebody else's leader, but tandemly walking through together with your own identities and an identity together. And why wouldn't you want? That's what you've always wanted. So it's kind of like God's giving you everything you want. Drop the control fucking freak issues, okay? Drop the ego and fucking go make shit happen. And yes, things take time. Saturn in the 6th house is teaching you, and Neptune that's been there for fucking 12 years. Okay? Like, yeah, life is, You want it to be so precise, but you need to learn to let go of exact and precise. 6th house, Pisces. Learning to let go of specifics. Learning to just live more free. And I'm not talking about like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. I'm talking about like more loose. Like, it's okay that the plans change. It's okay that, it's taking a little bit longer. It's okay that it showed up a little quicker too. Sometimes Libras get freaked out. You told me you were coming at 10. It's fucking 4. It's like in the morning. Okay, well, the plane was early. Right? So I think that you need to like chill out when it comes to like how the outside world is coming at you, whether it's not coming at you. It's just natural. It's always coming at us. And that's where that story you create or the ideas of how you want to be, and then this protective emotional place. The truth is every Libra has never been held yet and really allowed anybody in to hold them the way they really want to be held. They always push them away. And that's what you have to get to the bottom of, is like, why? So you're never getting what you actually want. Your ego actually is thinking it's going to get what it wants, but it's not going to get it if it can't even do it right now because you haven't tried the main problem. Right? But those are the issues. There's not that many of them. A lot of great things. It's almost like, why is the story so good? Are you going to fuck it all up? That's kind of Kamala's story, right? Like, you got what nobody else was given. And how are you fucking that one up? All right, let's see. You got a 7 of Wands. Stay in the position and keep fighting for where you're at, for the things that you have. Do not abandon ground. Do not let all that you've invested in go to waste. This is a position where you stay the ground. And yeah, it's a card where other people might be kind of coming at you for things. You're on the high ground. Stay on the high ground. Don't you dare right now to be like, you know what? I'm going to leave this high ground and go down below. What a retarded move. And that would be an ego move. And also with this kind of like vision that you think something's going to be there. And really it's just, you want more emotional space and control for the moment. And then when you get there, I got to deal with my emotional, and this isn't what I really wanted. And what do I do now? And you won't be able to go back. Even when you believe you can. And yes, your career will be fine. It'll be great, but you got to deal with your personal life first. If your personal life ain't good, you can't get anything done. All right, Scorpio. Oh, Scorpio. I don't know if you remember your life prior to 2005, but you were pretty chill and soft and cool. And then, of course, you got kind of hard in 2006. When Jupiter came into Leo and squared Saturn and Scorpio. Reverse. Jupiter came into Scorpio and Saturn was in Leo in the square. And we finished these eclipses. So what's happening right now is the old life of drugs, kind of floaty energy. You know, I think that this has been also you having your spiritual awakening, but the ways that you got to your spiritual awakening, they're over. Right? So if it's ayahuasca, the way that you need to keep doing to get spiritual, that's over. But the main thing here is all of the past, all of the sensitive issues in your past, all of the things about relationships in the past, all of the things that you're still holding on to that's gunking up a lot of good things. And so for you, it's like a lot of subconscious work. I would definitely work with a psychologist or somebody right now to deal with past issues with people and situations and relationships where you're still attached, that it's over or the energy's over. You got to learn to like have peace with it. Let the sun rise to a new day in the 12th, right? But at the same token, this is Jupiter that's going to retrograde, and it's going to happen for you in your 8th house, while we're going to see Pluto for the last time station direct in your 3rd. This is the weird battle you're in. You're in between worlds right now, changing into a new you, but still trying to hold on to the old you, like let go of the old you. Okay. Just let go of all the pain, let go of all the things that were unfair. Why? Like, it's kind of like you need to let go of your victimization that God betrayed you or something, right? Like, especially with Venus in your own sign, just pausing that in the first, it's kind of like, God, you didn't give me what I wanted, or why did this happen in that partnership, or why did that not happen the way I wanted to? Let that shit go. God didn't betray you. Those are all things that, whether it's people or God, that you already knew this contract going in here. This was going to be the shit that happened. So accept that. And so Jupiter here in retrograde is saying, accept the shit that's happened and see what's transmutating into your life right now. It's a new edge. So the old edge is dead. We've talked about that in the past, but it's at this point, it's dead. Like, you can't go back, right? Like, you're at a place, you can't go back. There is no more, oh yeah, well, let me just try one more little Hail Mary to make myself get my knocker off. No. There's a new way. There's new, more positive things for you to be focused on right now. And there's a lot that you're here to receive. It could also be a time about children or having kids, or you're going through menopause right now, or you're going through ED. But I don't think you need a pill, and I don't think that you need to trip out, or I don't think that you need to try all these crazy things, because I think a lot of it is your head games. With that Pluto, for the last time, going to station direct, the problem is that you hold things in your mind too much, and then you try to turn your mind off and have control of your mind, and it's always in the square to this Libra, which is your 12th house, meaning Scorpio's problem is alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, to just turn the mind off. You can't find a switch anymore and keep using it because it's causing problems, or it caused a lot of problems in the past. You don't want to bring those back. So this is Scorpio's like getting sober moment. Scorpio's taking on a new spiritual leaf of like, I'm not going to do those toxic shit anymore, because all those toxic things, toxic relationships, drugs, all those things were to actually try and turn your brain off for a second, because your control is, I just want to control my mind. I want to be able to control, well, why am I thinking about this person too much? Or why am I thinking of what happened? Why am I holding on to what happened in my mind? I keep bringing me up. Or it's environmental situations. Like, I can't even drive down that road because it reminds me of this. It's like, you need to let go of all the control situations, because you want to be able to live your life without having to be like, well, that little road right there reminds me of that. This reminds me of this. This reminds me of this. This reminds me of this. It's like, how can you live like that? It's like a walking panic attack. And the only way that you live with it is drowning yourself with alcohol, or drowning yourself with some sort of substance in order to walk through life. You can't do that anymore. Or sex addiction, or some sort of thing. And this is where you're learning to love yourself and be more compassionate, that there's been difficult times with you and loving yourself. But you're learning to transmute all that now. So this is really the Scorpio and all of its toxic, witchy, darky ways, and giving yourself some compassion of why it was that way, and that you can't go back that way anymore. And that's okay. And that there's a new way forward. And paying attention to, finding this new way. I think that, number one, it's okay if you're not perfect. I think that you're trying too hard to be perfect. So again, finding some ease, not getting lost in your mind and being like, I need to have it this way. I need to be doing this now. I need to do this to counter that. It's like, no, it's more like just, okay, you understand what you need to do, and just show up. You need to take some of the pressure off, because you're already dealing with all this like kind of subconscious, deeply repressed pressure of like, well, I can't see this, and it'll remind me of this, or I can't do this. So you need to work things out in your mind. Some of you might need to get on medication and therapy at this moment, because it's such a heavy 12th house, 3rd house situation, and Pluto stationing direct, and then coming in your 4th house, dealing with the emotional aspect that will trigger that mental shit. So, I'm just putting it out there, but with Neptune coming in the 6th house next year, and Saturn, I think we're going to be dealing with a lot of Scorpios that are, unless they just keep doing the work right now with therapy or psychological shit, a lot of this is psych issues, mental health issues that are either building and you're not knowing what to do about it. So you're going to go double down and try and, well, I'll drink and I'll feel better, or I'll do this or I'll feel better. No, this is time where you nip that shit in the butt. But I'm predicting people with heavy Scorpio placements have anxieties, fears, panics that are popping up, or personality disorders or things that they never knew that they had. That's the problems. And it's about learning how that there's always a way to master it. I was in that space. I'm 12th house. I went through, I went through panic disorder. I went through all that stuff. I've been in therapy for 9 years. It saved my life. It's okay you can still, trust me, you can still be spiritual and not do drugs and be on medication and still blow people's minds, and even more than when I was on drugs or when I was just sober. Right? Like, you have this control of like how you want your mind to work or what's allowed in it in this weird way. Like, it's kind of like, I want the kind of dirty shit, right? Like, that's what's weird. You don't want the like actual, like, well, the right dosage and the right thing. And this is actually the way to target whatever the problem is here. No, I don't want to do any of that. So you need to let controls off of who's steering the mind, which is you, with your white knuckling, how your mind is trying to avoid and trying to only go into the same place that you feel good in your mind. And you're trying to run away from things that you can't run away from. So you need to kind of go through this process of like, there's things that have happened that you need to not be afraid about. Okay, it happened on that street. Go drive down that street again. Somebody reminds you of something, connect with them. Like, what are you doing? Like, part of the 12th house is memory. So you have to, like, if you've lost somebody or if you broke up with somebody or whatever, and it reminds you of something that was bad or traumatic or something that happened in the past, memory is okay to have. It's about how you, right? But avoiding them and avoiding all the memories and avoiding everything is a horrible life, because then the mind is just going to fucking fixate and become hyperfixated. And that's the mental health crisis for Scorpios right now. And with Mars in the 9th, that's going to be opposing this 3rd. You have to remember that this is where you're not going to get all those great places that you want to go, or all those things that you want to explore, and all those things that you see emotionally. You emotionally have this intuitive sense of like, this is awesome. Well, what you're really picking up is, it's awesome, but I have to deal with this mental shit, this psychological shit that it's almost like you feel like helpless. And the truth is you're not. I think that you need to be easier on yourself. I think that you need to have some compassion here. And then you need to not be so afraid of the past and what's happened. You need to find peace with it, and you need to put it to bed. And if it comes back, that's okay. You have to learn how to find the beauty in whatever, and then move back to the present. And for you, it's like you're overly addicted to the present, because you almost don't want to think back. And you're actually a little timid right now to think forward, because you think a bad thing will happen. So this is getting rid of this fear of betrayal, or this fear of ultimate loss, especially with that Jupiter retrograde in the 8th house, all mental, with Pluto and Capricorn in the 3rd. So if you think about it, it's both. And then Venus is in your 1st house, so it's all connected to your version of you and what you experience, of what you feel, of who you are. So if you think about it, it's like a double whammy. It's like Jupiter's retrograding in the 8th, but really that's a Scorpionic house, and it's in Gemini, so it's mental health. Pluto's retrograding in Capricorn, which is the 3rd for you, so it's very 3rd house, so it's very Gemini-like, right? And so I'm preparing you to help you to not have to go through a horrible mental health crisis. And to let go of what's happened while letting it come back to and fro, and not let it get to you. But you got to let go of your control mind, and whatever your off switch is for your mind, it's probably the most toxic thing in the world. And I think you've probably done a good job, but there's still attachments that, trust me, you haven't thrown away everything. You're willing to go there if you had to. And that could be the demise, and lose a lot of stuff. So you're the one that would lose everything, not the universe take it away from you. That's another way to look at it too. Because you would use that off switch so crazy. You got the Six of Pentacles reversed. Okay. I think that you're too afraid to be vulnerable of this one area because you're very good at being vulnerable, but you don't want to feel like you're a charity case. When really the truth is that it's okay to ask for help. You don't need to be the one always helping everybody. The problem is that you're not asking for the help that you need. You're not getting any of the spiritual guidance that you need. It's like you're avoiding the spirituality through others and through people that are here to help you. And you're trying to fight this battle all on your own or with people that you've got enough boundaries with that they don't actually have to deal with the big stuff because you don't want them to either. I think that you need to learn to reach out for help. And I think that you need to build back those spiritual connections to deal with a lot of things that you kind of haven't, that you kind of threw away and you thought were fully thrown away. They're not. They're creeping back. All right. Last four, Sag and all right. Sag rising. Well, it's been a long story for you all, I know, when it comes to relationships. So Cancer's dealing with the most extreme. So if you happen to be like a Sag, Cancer rising, or flip, like Cancer, Sag rising, you're going through the most craziest relationships in your life, okay? But Sag there's a positive. But with every positive, you got to deal with the hard stuff first. So Jupiter retrograding in your 7th house, Pluto coming direct in your 2nd. I'm going to keep it very blunt. I think that you think you're an excellent picker and you're realizing that you're not. Also, that can mean you picked a good one, but then you thought you didn't, and then you realize, fuck, I fucked that one up. Or this is the best thing of my life. Oh no, I need to get rid of that. Oh fuck, I fucked up. Or, oh, this is okay. And then actually they're really bad, but I think they're great. Oh, it's a mismatch. So you're at the values. And I think that you could be having value problems right now. Like you're with partners or you're seeking partners that don't, the values look like they're exact, but they're actually so far apart. I think that you're also dealing with somebody extremely boring, Pluto and Capricorn here, and it's more of the attachment you have to what they're providing. That's not the thing that you actually really want for the excitement of relationships. So it's kind of like, well, they're providing this, they're providing that, but when it comes to all these, kind of more things, not really. Now, it's about love, children, North Node, Chiron, but there's something weird here. It's kind of like how I was telling Virgos that they were going through what their parents went through in their love lives. For you, it's more like, what's off here? What's weird? And you learning to take the courage to just address it fully, meaning you might address it to your friends, right? Or to people that you only trust in your little circle. The problem is your little chatty circle, right? Like, oh, well, my girlfriend says, blah, blah, blah. The problem is you're too connected to what all these people are doing, and you're dealing with you're dealing with a bunch of groups and people probably connected to a partner, or you're seeking a partner through there, or you're seeking something through these groups of people. And the problem is they are not anywhere close to fucking gonna be your people. They're gonna be the people that fall out of your life in the next 4 months, 5 months. Right? So I think the problem here is that when it comes to, I think that you're dealing with how did I get myself here? And let me just accept the bullshit. And then there's some Sagittarius who are overly like, no, I'm only here for the best. And then you're not taking on anything. And you're only like, well, let me just see what this person's like. And you're like, you're going through people like a Rolodex. But the problem is, I think when it comes to Saturn, Neptune, and your fourth house, it's like you're learning that you just can't keep playing the same emotional pattern. You can't keep doing the same thing and restricting your flow of emotions. Like, you're a human being, you know? So it's okay to be sloppy. I think that though there's some Sagittarius right now who are like, well, I got really sloppy. It's like, it's about learning to accept that that's where your emotions were and they've changed. And that's part of life. Instead of like, well, what do I do now? I think that there's a lot of what do I do now? And I think that there's too much trying to verify through people that are in a group that are the worst people to do it from. So I think you're getting your advice from really bad people, right? I think that you're not following your actual heart and the courage to do that. I think that that's what that North Node Aries Chiron is. It's like, well, will I fuck up again if I actually do what I want? This time, no. I think that you've learned over the last 12 years what works, what doesn't, what relationships are the ones for you, and that's what you're going to spend the next 4 months doing. But I think that the hard part is you've got yourself in some really big traps. That Venus is in Scorpio, and all the Scorpio that's coming in soon, you're in a trap. You know, and I think that that trap is something that you buried this end-all be-all cement of, I cemented into this. Pluto and Cap. I cemented into this shit. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn's in your fourth. I've embedded myself into a deep ocean and concrete. Well, so I think that you're afraid to actually make it as so what you want in your life. I think that for you, it's like, you know, you found this like crazy way of like realizing that life is really crazy, that we live these like normal lives, and you don't like that, but you found ways to like live. You're kind of close to getting there of living more normally. I'm not saying to be normal, but the basics, right? You're learning how to do the basics in reality, but you know, that's your third house ruler. So for you, it's like, it's kind of interesting to learn what normal people do, like how they make their bills on time and how they do all these kind of things. Or something that's way opposite of what you are. But I would say that the big enchilada here is, one, you need to look at your relationship or people you're pursuing. And if it's through a group or it's through friends, or if you're in a relationship, what are those people that it's like you became into their circle? And you're looking around like, I think these people are really cool. And I think you did at first, but I think you're realizing like, it's like you forgot who you were, because Jupiter's putting a big mirror on you. And so it's like, wait, what? Like, I'm with this, but who am I? So I think that you're kind of like lost in where did I go? Who am I? What am I now? And I think that a lot of the stories, Jupiter, that you've created are really simple. Like, well, I'm living a good life, and it's a simple life, and it's da-da-da-da-da, and blah, 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 and I'm happy, and da-da-da. It's like you're doing it subconsciously for this, like, what you can tell people, the 11th house, what, you know, and what you could spread around, and people are like, well, they're happy, that Sag is happy, that Sag rising's happy. I guess it's like a story. But to get the day-to-day play-by-play, nobody's getting that shit. Which, to be honest with you, I feel like it's more distant than it's actually. I don't think that there's a lot of crazy shit happening. I think it's just more kind of like bare bones. Like, I think that you're kind of like in, what happened to all the excitement of life, you know? I think that you kind of are afraid to have exciting relationships. I think that they got too exciting. They got too sloppy. But I think that you're realizing, well, I shouldn't be in super boring town. And then there's the Sag that's just terrified of You're living like a wandering weird old person with a beard. And you're just, let me stay with my friends. Let me go to here. Let me play the best friend thing or friends with benefits. Like, let's just be the friend. That's just extremely avoidant. So you've got to turn that one around. And I would say, one, you've got to come into a place in your life and be like, hey, this is a moment for me to stop bullshitting people, bullshitting myself, and be like, I'm actually gonna follow what I want to do instead of, you know what? I'm trying to put out, like, I'm chill and I could have space. Like, you're trying to have too much space if you're not engaged in something. Like, you're like, I'm just trying to just find whatever's out there on the horizon. Well, like, that's your problem. And you're around people that are probably not even close to delivering what they can. Or if you're on the other side, you're with somebody, the people that you're connected with through them are the last people that you ever thought you would be hanging out with. And they're the last people you're going to be wanting to hang out with in just 4 months from now. So it's like, you got to have a huge shift in this moment of like, where's your standards? Because that's what that Pluto in the second is. It's where's the fuck is the standards at? So are you setting the bar up high enough? Are your emotions getting what they want? You know, remember, Jupiter's your ruling planet, so it's in the 7th, but it's like, is this all that you want? Oh, you wanted simple. Okay. Well, you crossed that off, but it's more complex than that with the square to Saturn. So the problem is, the relationship looks like it's going, or the possibilities of relationships look like they go good. But the square to Saturn is, I'm emotionally, and so this could also be you're not in a good emotional place, but they don't know how to show up to your emotions. They don't know how to comfort you. They don't know how to actually be there. And they might be able to be like, well, I'm making you comfortable, or I'm doing all these things. They don't know how to hit the spot of comfort. And there's another part of you where you're like, why have I gotten to this place where I just thought it all looked good in my mind? Because that's what Pluto was in Aquarius and then went back into the second. So it's like your standards, you set the standard like a fucking, I don't know why. My guide was showing me, like, you went on the wall and you were like, this is who I want. I tried this in my life and it was the worst thing I ever did. I manifested what my fucking, whatever you call it, my vision board would be in a perfect partnership, and fucking don't ever do that. Because that's your ego and your mind running the whole show, not your soul. And that's what you've done. It's like you've manifested this idea of like the standard and this kind of like, and again, you referenced what other people valued, but not what you valued. That's the hard part about Pluto in the second. If you have it and you were born with Pluto in the second, if you can talk to anybody probably here in High Vibe, they can share your thoughts. They always pick what other people find valuable and think that that's most valuable until the end of their life. They realize what the most valuable thing was what I really wanted. It wasn't what other people actually out there want. So I think that you're dealing with this too much of trying to please the world, trying to please everybody else, trying to make everything happy, and trying to sing along as everything's going on. Well, it's like, it's the weirdest thing that's not coming together. The sex might be great. The friendships might be great, but the happiness, the emotional need, and more importantly, the standards of beauty, meaning maybe they were beautiful, but they started to, uh-oh. But I think that you're in kind of this not for sure thing where it's like, it's not for sure that it's going to go bad. It's not for sure that it's going to go good. And that's okay. The whole lesson here is to see what the universe will reveal over the next 4 months. You could be getting some sort of foresight right now of like, I've been having this feeling that this is going to happen in a relationship. And let's say it's that they're a piece of shit and they're starting to actually show it. Right? Or you've been engaged and you're going to get married and now they're talking about, well, I don't really like marriage. It's like, wait, what? But it's the thing that you believe too much they're going to be that they will not be. And then the worst is, and I'm going to say right now, if you're trying to build another relationship while you're in a relationship, that will be your big failure. And then you'll end up jumping back and forth. And then you'll go back to the person that you were originally with. And then you'll live another 12 years in hell. And I hate to say it, but Sagittarius are the king and queens of, let me bounce around. Let me see what happens. Like, I don't have to say shit. Number one cheaters are the mutable signs, especially Sag, Scorpio, 12th house. And I'm not putting y'all down. I'm just saying, when it gets really weird, and especially in these friend groups, oh, well, they're kind of nice. They're kind of, oh, oops. I told them don't stick it in, but they stuck it in. But I kind of wanted them to stick it. You know, like that's your problem right now is that you're too afraid to be like, deliver the blow of truth. Hey, I like you. I feel like we're more friends than lovers. So I think your problem is that you try to turn your lovers into friends right now. And that's the problem. And I think that you're dealing with a lightweight when it comes to like actually showing up as the divine masculine or feminine that you need in your life. Like it's more like they're your best friend, but like the gay best friend than your lover. And with that Mars in the 8th, ooh, and especially that it's going to be going retrograde through your 8th and it's going to be opposite that Pluto in the 2nd, the attractiveness is the problem. It's not the actual sex because you can close your eyes and get off. It's you're not attracted. And you once were. How'd they turn? They're so boring. It's like, you really look like that? Like, yeah, wow, okay. Oops. I think that the worries would be cheating, or even like whatever you define cheating as might not be the same as somebody else, but there's emotional cheating too. There's talking cheating too, right? Like this kind of like, let me find some other place to get what I need. That could even just be like, well, I'm looking at the picture of somebody all the time because I'm not getting that somewhere else. The other thing too would be continuing to not address the problem. So maybe therapy or whatever. But you know, there's a big, if you're really in a long-term thing and you want to keep it going, well, it's an adventure, right? It's about learning and growing. And so there's a lot of growing pains that are here, but they're here to have those conversations and being honest. And I think that you don't know how to be honest right now. You're trying to be the best friend. And I think that's the main thing. And I think that you're not attracted, but you're still doing what you know. And I think that there's this beginning, like buildup of like this emotional wall that you don't know what to do. And I don't think that you're being mean about it either. I think that you're being really nice because you're just hoping that it shifts. It's not. So you're dealing with a lot of subtle stuff. But the main thing that's the pest is, God, I know I can have better. When's it too much? I think that it's too much if it's like you're looking to have, well, I could have a Rolex, the guy wearing a Rolex, or a girl that has the kind of hair I want or something like that, right? It's like, no, that's not what it is. It's more about like, I really don't see the value or the benefit of this kind of long term, and it kind of doesn't feel like it's destined. So it's like false destiny. It feels like at first maybe it was destiny, but it's like it doesn't feel like this is destined. It feels more like, am I in a repeat past life situation? I would say pay attention to that big time. And it's going to get really messy at the end of October and November. So you could be using these weeks to addressing these things before they get really messy. But you probably won't because you believe something else. All right. The Star card, fresh new start energy, the card that comes after the Tower. And, you know, it's about where's the spiritual guidance in life really trying to take you and listening to it, even if you're stripped of everything. You'll be all right. All right, Capricorn. Oh, I've been waiting 16 years for this horoscope, Capricorn, but technically next month we can say for sure that this will be the that'll be the horoscope. I'm finally happy to say it's over. But it's not over, but at least this is a good week for the sense that you're done with the retrogrades. So you don't know who you are. You won't know who you are till next month. So remember, everything's been temporary. I think that there's one, I'll give you this with Pluto. Pluto at least will take one thing like Hades does. Hades does take a woman down to hell with him, right? And okay, so there's one thing that you can take with you as your identity. Right? So let's say you're into books. Okay, you're going to be a bookseller. You're going to be a writer. Okay. Not a successful one yet? All right. But the main thing here is remembering that you have come back to, all of the things that make you don't feel that you're courageous enough to be who you want to be or questioning who you are at a deep level. I would say that with all this Libra in the 10th, again, when it comes to your career life, you're defined as a Capricorn, right? It's all about my career. Your whole career and everything it's going nowhere right now, and that's okay. It's surviving, let's call it. It's just kind of there. It's not your end all be all. Jupiter retrograde happening in your 6th house. So again, life is having you see all these different ways that it can come into the rhythm. And now it's the facts of like, okay, what's not in rhythm? Well, a lot of it's going to be because you don't know who you are fully. So you got 4 months of Jupiter retrograde. At least this Pluto coming direct is, all right, I'm starting to focus on what's the possibility of what I want. But that means when it comes to your home life, are you living in the right place? It's not about your career. Stop focusing on your career. You need to be focusing on, am I living in the right energy? 2, am I actually really truthfully living a lifestyle that fits with who I want to be? Meaning my day-to-day routine, my life, it actually is identifying correctly with the actual thing I really desire to become. I think the problem is you're dealing with, I'm going to say it, an agent that's trying to pull you off the path. Because this Mars in Cancer so long, Capricorn, Cap risings, and then it's going to retrograde in Leo. It's like a seductive incubus or succubus that's trying to pull you off a path that you want to be and trying to feed into your career ego or even shifting your career, trying to mold you or without even them actually directly saying it. Maybe they're like kind of standoffish and you have to keep showing up for them in a certain way and it's pulling you off your goals. But you're dealing with an agent. You're dealing with somebody who's trying to, they don't even realize that they're taken over by this dark energy too, but they're trying to fuck up the end of this transit for you. The major 16-year reset of your life to find out who you really are. And they're trying to come in and define you for you from an outside. So I don't want to worry you about relationships, right? But this would not be the time to double down and to go into a new relationship or one that you've brought in over the last month or two. Remind them that you're a Capricorn and let's see what it's like when Pluto comes into Aquarius. Because you need to also test the waters of whether it's really a value, because you don't know that right now. Because you don't know who you are. So the basics of astrology is the 1st house, where you've had Pluto for 16 years. So no relationship has truly worked the way that you want to for the last 16 years. So right now, you're still believing it's going to work? With the South Node and all this Libra energy, it's the 10th house. So your career either, none of the cardinal signs can work because Pluto is in a cardinal sign. So that means that your 10th house is not fully activating, working with the South Node now, right? Over the last 15 months. The changes you've made, they'll be looking back like, why did I make that? Well, you know, it was more about decisions just to stay alive or stay safe or home. The one place to focus on would be, am I living in the right place? Now, where this agent could be fucking with you is also about trying to have you nest up in a place that's far away from where you really want to go and far away from who you want to be. Also, you're dealing with needing to fact check and dot your I's and cross your T's 10 times over about all things right now. Meaning, is this really a good partnership? Is this a good friendship? Is this a good relationship? Is this the job I want? Is this where I want to live? I think that your little thrill right now is Uranus in the fifth. Like, well, let me keep trying to explore. I'm more fun. I can do all these fun things. Uranus has been great to you the last 6 years. It continues to every year upgrade you and show you how much more fun life is. The problem with that, though, is connecting that with, oh, God, I'm finding the love of my life, when really it's like, no, you can't make a hoe a housewife. You know what I mean? Right? So, like, this is or you can't make a player a fucking daddy, let's say. So, you know, like, this is this moment for you of like, okay, I need to take all these pieces off the board that I'm getting lost in and get back to who I really want to be and what's that look like and what is the power that can become in this world, and not let me get lost in what that is at the moment. Just know that I need to be solid in who I am and find that last piece. With Jupiter retrograde in your sixth, there's a lot of pieces that are at the bottom of this 16-year transit that you need to pick up. And when you put those puzzle pieces together over the next month and a half, month and a week, month and a half, month to 2 weeks, at that time period, it will make sense. Right now, it doesn't. So my advice, clear the decks. Pluto will do it for you, except for this agent, because that Mars is going to be a pesky thing opposite Pluto for the next fucking months and months and months and months and months. So for you, I would say, listen, I'm not making my emotional choices, my home choices, my career choices, my personal life, my mental choices, especially my love, my heart choices at all. Friendships, sure. We could be friendly. We could have sex. We could do all these little things, but I'm not doing any of that other stuff till I understand who I am. I'm not defining anything right now until I pick up all these pieces. Because guaranteed, that agent will be so, they'll act so, I'm no problem. I just want you comfortable. You'll hear that word too. I just want you comfortable. I just want you to live your life, and I just want to take care of you. I just want to make you feel good. I just want to, yeah, okay, right. Wait a month. Wait 3 weeks. See how they really start to act. They're going to become inflamed. They're going to be an inflammation in your life. They're going to be a thorn in your side, however you want to put it. Because they're going to try and fight to shift your path. And Pluto is not going to accept that. And you'll fail the 16-year transit, which then throws you into, well, then you'll have money problems. Then you'll have self-worth issues. Then you'll have all those kind of things that the second house is going to bring you into. So a big moment, one that a lot of little pieces will come together of things that you've seen. So you got to remember, with Jupiter retrograding in the sixth, what does that mean? Well, okay, since January 1st, when Jupiter went direct in Taurus and came into Gemini later on, you've gotten all these little pieces and big pieces that you need to now spend the retrograde over the next 4 months, while in the middle of that 4 months, Pluto will station direct here this week and then also leave your sign. That means you need to take all these things, whether it is a partnership, a relationship, a job, all these things, and you need to go, what is me and what is me and what is me? And you need the time to do that. So you need to have strong boundaries, because that's what Pluto is about. Strong boundaries to say, no, not the time. And anybody that tries to give you shit and make you feel bad, you already know. Cross them off the fucking list. Can you be a true Capricorn? Can you let go of the emotional thing? Or are you so desperate with Chiron there in the fourth to I just want somebody that will hold me and take care of me, because it's been a long fucking 16 years of just constantly having to be reset constantly and constantly deal with, being mulched. I get it. But you don't need to make a commitment. And I think communicating the specifics, sixth house, is your benefit right now. Like, hey, I'm just looking for somebody that can be there as my friend, and possible, who knows? I don't want to put any definition of what it could be, because I don't even know what it's all going to be here. But that's where your Saturn and Neptune, the sensitivity to communicate what your soul needs, you need to start stepping up to the plate. And this is where you're going to start to find what Pluto in Aquarius in the second house has already been teaching you, very small, is you need to step up with your self-worth and say, hey, you know what? Not that into this. It's okay. I don't want to do this all the way. Or, I do want to connect with this, but I'm afraid to say this. Like, you need to really start to take ownership now of who you are, and that you don't know all of it at the same time, and not put promises out there that you're not going to be able to keep. And you won't if you really tap in. And to also remember that you're at the end of this motherfucker, okay? For real. And that you have to have resilience like a motherfucker, okay? Sure, the car battery every year has turned off and you've had to jumpstart it or get a new battery to your life. The last time, you've done it before, you can do it again, but this time, all these things that you've made promises and all these things, you don't need to do any of that. That's the beautiful part of Pluto. It's here to destroy and clear and start new on every level of your life. But it's going to look crazy. You got the Judgment card reversed. This is not your holy moment for you to be like, I'm here to go. It's divine. I'm supposed to go do. Nothing is divinely supposed to be done right now. Meaning engaged in. This is for you to reflect, put the pieces from inside together, and also to not have judgment on yourself for saying, hey, and not accept judgment for you needing you to figure who you are out. Don't even let that judgment get to you. All right. Aquarius. Oh, Aquarius. Well, this one's going to be a weird horoscope. I'm just going to tell you. Jupiter retrograde, we'll start with that in the fifth house. Your romantic life. And Pluto to station direct at the last degree of your 12th house. You notice I said the last degree, 29 degrees, right? Okay. You want to talk about love traps? Capricorn has possible ones, and they actually can see it. You can't. Whether you're not showing up with your heart the right way, or another party's not showing up the way they're supposed to, or you're in a deep trap about some sort of addiction or something that kind of feels like, well, I just am doing this to get through, or, I'm trying to control my life in this kind of spiritual ethos I'm creating. You're at a really weird, this is where I've told you this would be the year of the most dramatic love story of your life. This is where it turns, it really was dramatic. Now it goes into straight, makes a reality show look fucking boring. I mean, if you think about all this Libra in your ninth house, you totally believe that the Jupiter's opened up the doors to heaven. It ain't. What you're failing to do is focus on the facts of what's happening. The fact is, Not that exciting. The fact is not what I actually really, not only in my mind really want, but I'm just wanting to feel hope. So I'm throwing everything to the wind and let's see how it goes. No wonder Pluto is going to be in your sign for 20 years to mulch the shit out of all the things that are not true. So I'm trying to catch an Aquarius rising before they go through the mulcher. I just gave you, go watch Capricorn. Go talk to a Capricorn for the last 16 years. You get it for 20. So the problem here is that you're in the deepest trap of your life. You don't know how to deal with it. And you're just trying to say it's all great. You're just like, it's the gravy train. Well, the truth is there's a self-worth issue, a money issue. So you could be getting stuck into situations over money or just survival. Like, you know what? You know what? I'm in love and I'm going to stay this, but they provide or they help me make my money, or they provide money, or they provide something that makes me feel good to survive. Oh, so that's the real reason. It's not actually this fucking lost ass vision that it's not what it's all meant up to be at all. It's almost kind of like you're like buying the bullshit of like an idea that sprouted into this huge belief system that wasn't the seed you ever wanted to grow. And you're kind of accepting that it was like, no, this was the tree I've always wanted. It's like, no, it wasn't. And Venus in that 10th house here, I think it's a little bit weird because it's kind of cut off. I feel like you're just kind of numbing yourself and feeling like, well, I'm getting what I want and I'm getting it. And with this Pluto going to go direct in that 12th with Venus dispositing in the 10th, it's like, well, finally I have something in my life I can control. Okay, retarded Aquarius. There is no such thing as control, especially in your life, right? So it's kind of like, everything's working the way I want it to work when it's quite the opposite. It's like this big trap, deep inside yourself that you needed to hear this video to get confirmation that it's a fucking trap. You know that you have tons of subconscious work that you're afraid of losing control or afraid of not getting to a certain spiritual place or not experiencing what you want to experience because the South Node's here in the 9th and all these planets in the 9th and even Mars in Cancer in the 6th house. So that's where the problem is it's this pesky Mars that's in opposition to the Pluto in the 12th. So what it's doing is it's like, okay, you think that emotionally and you think that you've got your life working for you? What's the shit in the other side that's all controlled and deeply filed away? Oh, the repressed part of your soul in expressing how you really want to express yourself. That's what Jupiter in the 5th is about. It's learning to express what you really want, what you really love, and fully express it. Meaning it should be like fucking Top Gun, fucking afterburners on. Not, well, yeah, I'm happy. It's about the expression. It's like having an orgasm. Do you scream and let it out and fucking make sure every neighbor gets woke up? Or is it like, This could also be you in massive withdrawal with Pluto that people are not going to know how to deal with. Because in the 12th with Pluto, it's massive withdrawal. So it's like, you could be going through that for drugs, but you could also be withdrawing from somebody that they are going to go, what the fuck? Because you were opposite of that, like almost kind of needy, like I need you to feel that my life's in control, all these kind of things. And then boom, it stations direct and you're going to go into full withdrawal mode. Like Aquarius, hi, remember me? I'm an Aquarius. I'm going to disconnect. And so like, that's the trap is like, you're about to come back to this like 16-year issue with like, you're trying to be something that you're not right now. You're trying to also like, I think take something that's way over your head on the capability of spiritually being able to do and trying to control it and trying to also maybe create it that like, no, spirit's making this happen for me. It's like, no, you're controlling a situation right now. That's where the problem is the 12th house can deal with your own manipulation of what spirit is, and especially in Capricorn for control. So you're manipulating a situation for control. And that Mars is going to retrograde in Leo in December, right? In your 7th house. And then oppose you. So you're in a massive love, crazy, wild, self-worth, exchange, money, weird, withdrawal, connected, or you could be dealing with somebody who's withdrawing from you out of nowhere this week that'll pop its head up. But like, I'm not trying to say that you need to just fear things. I'm trying to remind you that you're trying to close out the last 16 years. You can't take on new things while you're closing it out. You have to close it out, then you step into the new world and see what's out there. But it's almost like you're taking something from your old world and trying to push it through. Something that's been not working for a long time, or it never did work, or it isn't working, especially this is about relationships for you. This is about love. This is about also your self-worth. And this is also about this incapacity to go off the facts again. And for the first time, I think you feel relieved to just be like, I believe and let's just see what happens. But not at this moment. And Uranus in the 4th house, it's like, well, it's unstable wherever the house situation is in your home life. It's unstable emotionally. I'd look at your subconscious, alcohol, drug use, but also the traps you're in. It's almost like the brooding and the like I'm over life kind of energy that you're hiding. Life's hard. Let me just take whatever's going to make it easier. That's always the worst thing. That's like reminds me of a homeless person. Well, I want to give up on society and war and help and work, but at least it's a free home and I can just be homeless. So like whatever you've made big changes coming into this moment, just know it ain't going to go the way you think it's going to go or the way it has been going. It's about to finally reverse track and take a completely different way, especially in your day-to-day life, your home life, and having to deal with facts that are, like you got to be able to like get over this weird thing. Like, I know it's not true, but I just want it to be. And, at the same time too, it's almost kind of like you're dealing with like, whether it's you withdrawing and not really knowing how to express your heart. So somebody's going to leave you, or you're finally expressing yourself, but they're not that expressive. It's one of those two. And so you have to be willing to address those things. So you either need to turn up the fucking knob on how you express yourself and stop playing the ice cold game. But really that ice cold game is actually a manipulation tactic for some sort of control over perspective spiritually, to not be pulled within to see what's really going on in your vulnerable world or what you really want. Because you could be really wanting something else, or you could be hiding something that you don't want somebody to see, and the chips have stacked up so high that it's a tower card that's like waiting to fall, that you've almost believed that you got away with. It's kind of like carrying a dead body in a fucking closet for so long, and you've sprayed enough fucking, Glade plugins in there to make everybody be like, they didn't see that there's a body in there. But it will get found out soon. You've already been called out about it, but you've done a good job. You're like, no, what do you mean? That's not... That doesn't smell like a dead rat. No, I had McDonald's. It came in here the other day, like the DoorDash guy. The whole point is, don't cash in all your bets right now. Right? This is a tower card moment. Just to be honest with you, it's the final moment of Pluto in your 12th. And you've done a lot of work to get here, but it's that tower card that gets you to the star, right? Which is an Aquarius card. And you need to go through this to find the real parts and to prepare you for the next 20 years of, they could either be mulching it or it can be finally receiving. And I think that there's this desire to finally receive what you've wanted. And I think that you've jumped the gun. And I think that a lot of it comes down to understanding you need to know how to express yourself. You need to know how to let it out. You need to let the roar out more. You need to learn how to, when you're in love or when you're in happiness or your passion, we know you can feel it. The way I'm at like 10% right now. Not even, I'm at 1% right now. My 1% is your 100%. That's the problem. And so that means that whatever you're in right now is the same way back, meaning their 1% is the 100 you're getting back. And also what you've chose is kind of last resort things and last resort energies and last resort situations. And also this hidden, I just am over life. I'm just accepting whatever the fuck it is kind of energy. And putting on a fake smile, a fake persona, because I don't think that you know the persona that you really are. I mean, you've never really expressed yourself. The first house and the fifth house are about expression. You've never really expressed yourself. So I don't think it's about what you take into this moment to help you express. If anything, it'll be the tower moment of those things that are going to create the expression, or you learning to go, let me not get into a trap and have to go through it that way. And let me actually face the music and be honest with what it is. And you remember, you can back out of things right now. But once Pluto comes back into Aquarius, you can't. If you make commitments to him, that's what the 20 years is going to be about, situations like that you're going to have hard times to pull out. So the good news for any Aquarius out there that loves to get out of things, this is your perfect moment to get out of things before it turns ugly. And assessing what the ugliness factor is right now and being honest and realizing that there's changes that you can make so you can set yourself up to attract what you really want and actually get the higher spiritual bar that you actually envision opposed to mimicking shit. All right. And again, all this ninth house, it seems too good to be true. It's not too good, one, and it's not true, two. I'll just keep it basic. It's okay. It's missing something. It's not that aesthetically pleasing, and it's not balanced. The star card reverse. I'm not making this shit up. You just saw me. So I think that that's the problem. You're too afraid to start fresh. I think that you've buried a hole way too deep that you think you can't get out of. And the whole thing is, yes, you can. You can pull the pin and leave. But the problem is, boy, oh boy, you're waiting for it to get really bad. And I think that you're not following actually spiritual guidance. You're following a belief system, a program belief that it's almost like a fail safe to make you feel better about what's going on in your life and to feel some sort of goodness right now. And I'm empathetic and I understand that. I just am trying to prepare you for what the repercussions and the cost is for that if you continue after this. All right. Pisces rising, last one. Well, Pisces, this is quite interesting. All this Libra South Node, 8th house. Life is not that hardcore. This is the misinterpretation and letting go of that life and all of your personal deep issues and fears are extreme. It's not. It's because you're out of balance right now. And also I think a lot of it is because this 8th house here is like you're lost too deep. It's hard. Saturn's in your sign. Neptune's in your sign. And Neptune's been here for 12 years. Saturn's been here for a year and a half. And Saturn has slowed it down and made you force with Neptune there to find yourself what feels like you'll never find it, or that you'll never get the you that you want to be. That's the illusion of Neptune with the hardness of Saturn. It's too hard and it just never will show up. That's a lie. So you're needing to let go of all energies of destruction. Destroying yourself, destroying anything outside yourself, putting blame on anything external, 8th house, right? Expecting to receive something better. I need to receive, I need to receive, I need to receive, I need to receive, I need to receive. No, you don't. Pluto coming retrograde, for the last 6 years in this house for you has always been, well, I'll get high and feel better off some crazy thing. I'm going to go, hey, it's like, hey, everyone, who are you? Let me just join the club. Like, what's this crazy thing? That has been a calculation of problems that got you to this place to where now you have to actually do the work and it feels like you're trapped. But the truth is you're not. You are used to freeing yourself and throwing all rules away. And that's the problem, is that you're having to do rules, Saturn. You're having to actually build now. Or I'm always independent, right? So you're dealing with this independent battle, or where am I in the world? Where's my position? Capricorn. And this deep expectation, the eighth house, the square, and the illusion of like, it needs to be sexier. It needs to be this hot thing I want to have in the world. It's actually more like you are a box without a brand at the moment, that you're coming up with the logo, and you need to be focusing on the beauty of what you're creating and what you've already been have, and seeing the goodness in what that is. Stop focusing on the negative, because the problem with South Node in the 8th is all negative. It's like having K2 in Scorpio, right? It's like if you focus on the dark and you focus on the negative and everything's just always shitty and everything, guess what? Then you're losing all the value that's right in front of you. And so you need to stay present in this moment and realize that no, there is no rocks, get my rocks off on Route 66 anymore. That's not going to do anything. If anything, if you do go do that with this Pluto direct and try and go run to old friends or old crazy situations, or like, hey, I'm here, what's going on? You know, you're going to fucking probably end up dead or on another like I said, you'll disappear for 20 years. And you have responsibilities that you've been already doing for the last year and a half that you can't escape. So then you're going to be the fucktard that Saturn will just fail the test for you in 30 years of call it hell. So, but the illusion is that hell's happening. But the real truth is, if you believe that hell's happening, it will be your entry to hell because of the actions you take, because you believe the illusion that you're in hell. When the truth is, the actions you take to get out of whatever or change or have this metamorphosis happen that you think will change everything will be actual hell. Saturn's about, you're going to have to stay resilient and tough and of integrity, and you've got responsibilities, and it's a heavy weight. And the Neptune energy can help you get rid of the illusion of I will never be this, and start looking at how long it takes to make a beautiful idea, a beautiful vision. When you keep compounding another vision on top of another vision, you get the most beautiful, epic shit ever. You're making the most beautiful version of yourself of all time. And it is like a crystal ball, beautiful thing. And that takes time. It's fragile. You're fragile. So don't you dare think that Pluto and Capricorn and being like, well, let me be around people that are famous. Look what it's like going to a Diddy party. Are you that dumb? Don't. Right? Like, this is not where the Diddy party is going to solve your problems. Oh, you know that person? Oh, what did that give you? Are they calling you? You met them at a party? You met them at a social event? Whatever? What did that get you? Nothing. Maybe you're on tape. Because this is very second, eighth house, it kind of reminds me of junk bonds, right? Like, stop focusing on, I'm putting in all this energy and not getting anything back. That is where you're going to get lost because you're not gauging correctly. You're building a foundation that is like a skyscraper. And you're like, I've done all this work and I don't see, I want to be at the 100th floor. You just built the whole foundation. You just built the first fucking floor. I know we don't see the second floor yet, and the lobby's not built out yet, but the hardest part of building to get now, the floors are easier. So you got to remember that this is also a learning about extreme patience and not, I need some crazy new thing, because let's go to Jupiter. Jupiter retrograde in your 4th house. Why can't you just learn to accept that you are in a pillow situation, to chill and to continue to build this? Like you're comfortable. You have to also learn comfort. So the facts are going to matter. What's actually uncomfortable is what you're going to have to get to the bottom of. Is it the frustration? Yes, but what are you frustrated about? Then go a level deeper. What's the fact? Oh, you're frustrated because life's hard? Okay, well, life is hard. What's the emotion coming up? Well, whatever that is, and then go to the fact. Is it really? And then always come back to that South Node and be like, is it really that bad? It's probably not. But if you listen to this Pluto that's going to go direct, then all the last 16 years of you going with the crazy radical, oh, let's do something crazy. Let me meet this radical new thing. Let me go to these people. Let me try that radical thing. You don't want to be an adult. You don't want to even see the dangers of it. What the stuff that you try to get yourself involved with here, that's with people that don't give a fuck, that don't want responsibility. They just want to be the clout that they can get by, well, I had that Pisces or Pisces rising or whatever. And with Mars in your fifth, you have to be realizing that the way for your strength is the creativity within you, and that you have to feel comfortable to love yourself and stop looking for admiration outside. So the problem is that you could be, whether it's 11th house, social media, trying to prove yourself to the world, you need to be comfortable with you loving yourself without having to show everybody what it is. That's the test. The problem with this is that you will go to stupid lengths to try to get people that really don't have your best interests probably involved attention, right? You're trying to get attention because you want something to get all the hard things that you're going through of building your unique, beautiful vision and continue on the work. You want some exciting extravaganza, or this Venus in Scorpio, creating all these ideas of what is possible and what you want. But then the opposition to Uranus and Taurus in your third house is like, well, is it factually going to be that, or is this just an emotional need and want that I just want some sort of adventure, but I don't even, well, what about my environment? What would, it's like, you're ready to go. It's like ready to go bet on the craziest thing and get no return. When you've been placing bets in areas and getting returns, but it's not even placing bets. You've been putting the work in. You've been putting the work in. But you're ready to go gamble it all. So my number one issue that I would say Pisces are going through is ready to gamble everything and lose all of it for something you have no idea even what's behind the door. They're saying that there's let's say $1 million behind there, or the most amazing life, or, it's kind of like going to a circus and be like, oh, behind this door is the world's smallest fucking, penis. Oh my God, that's what I've always wanted. And then they go there and it's like, well, it's not really a penis. It was a dildo we cut. Oh my God, fuck. I just lost everything, right? So if you're in that gambling mode of like, fuck it, I'm ready to just change it all, you're going to end up in the worst place of your life. So if you're doing everything off a gamble, like, fuck it, let's see what happens. Fuck it, let's see what happens. Let's go. We need more edge. We need more extremes. We need more. I need some shock therapy. It's going to shock the shit out of you. And then all that you built, you can't come back to that construction zone. And you're going to have to go now deal with what other people, which won't have a lot. And then you'll be kind of left out into the dust. Stay patient, find strength and integrity, and staying with finishing the jobs that you're on and finishing the things that you're building, and continue to express love emotion, not negative emotion. Stop putting blame on other people. Pluto in the 11th, for the last time to come direct, and 8th house Libra. Of course, Pisces blames everything on everyone else. Right? It wasn't me. Yeah, no, okay. It's always somebody else, right? No, this is about you. Saturn's putting the check on you. Right? So you're going to be the one that either jumps out the escape pod, and there is no slide anymore like they do on the escape things off a plane. And you can't gauge with Saturn and Neptune in your first house if you're even on the ground or not. You're like just ready to jump out and just see what happens. And I'm telling you. Or it's the opposite. Like really, it's the jump out to something in. Like, I'm going to go be in this crazy new relationship. I'm going to go marry my best friend. I'm going to go do something that just, fuck it. And boy, oh, that's what it comes with. There's always with Pisces, the duality of like this unconscious behavior with this idea that something conscious is going to happen. No, the conscious behavior will be after you realize all the unconscious shit you've done. You might have already come in, some Pisces might have already come into this, whether it's like, what did you do? So like, this is also you facing like secrets within yourself. Like what, like also like, where are you having issues with intimacy and putting fear and darkness and, you know, all these kind of things that you have to face and find peace with and move back into quality, bringing the power into that and self-worth. It's almost kind of like that self-worth issue with Chiron there, with Mars in fifth. It's like, you're like, I can't love until I have what I need. It's like, what do you have everything. You're putting your self-worth so low that you're saying that love can't exist without whatever it is that you define. There's nothing that you define of value that blocks love. But that's the problem with Pisces is depression's a hard thing. And Jupiter here is saying, you got to look at all the positive things. You got to look at all these awesome things that are around instead of being so lost in, oh, look at all this dark shit or what isn't happening or what I'm not receiving or all this work I'm doing with Saturn in my sign and the illusion that I'll never get there. So, and what's Pisces about? Self-undoing. And this is this week where you can self-explode everything you've created, everything good because you want to feel something. And the problem is you're not feeling. Jupiter and Gemini means you're just like running through in your mind and coming up. And Jupiter's saying, shut up. And in Gemini, let me look at the facts instead of creating emotional facts. Like, do you really understand your emotions? You can't when you're lost in what's happening outside. What am I doing outside? Or what are other people doing? Or I want to be in this place in the world and I'm not there and all that shit. You need to come back to Saturn and be like, hey, like, just help me get back to just focusing on where I'm at. And, you know, you have to think of it like, I used a product, but if we were to use it, it's kind of like a fetus. You're almost a human, right? You're almost going to be birthed, but it's not now. You're like halfway through. And you're trying to go out there and go club or be the party and all that. Like, oh, look at that fucking 5-month-old fetus over there. Just came out, fucking wanted to come and hang out. How's that umbilical cord? How long is it? That's how you think about what you're doing right now. Like that, no, you're in the evolutionary process of the new you you're creating. If anything, the last 16 years of all the crazy people and friends and especially dark controlling kind of behind the scenes weird is what Pisces has to go through to let go, right? Poseidon parties like a rock star and also gets involved into some weird places and does some weird shit. You're also facing the dark side in your shadow of all the shadow shit that you're believing will save you, which will actually be it winning and taking all of the beauty and good that is not fun and it's kind of boring, but it's healthy. And you're willing to ditch all of that for your shadow that wants one huge kick. That's the craziest kick of your life to think that it will save things. That will be your biggest downfall of your life. All right. No, we did the star verse. Pulled judgment reverse, although we pulled that one. That's kind of crazy. I've been putting it back in though. Boom, Page of Wands. Judgment reverse, Page of Wands. Focus on all the good things that you have. I know that it might seem like it's small, like it's still on paper and it's not fully seen. But you're in the gown. You've got the wand. Keep going. Be positive. Be excited. Don't destroy. And I'm sorry to say, whatever you think is some divine thing that you've come up with from your shadow, it's not. It is not. Well, that was your sun signs for this week, and also a little just kind of catch up into, October overall. And I appreciate you all. I know it's been probably hard from, you to be on High Vibe and not have all the shows, and especially these sun signs every week and all that shit. And I've truly been through a lot, but it's no excuse. I'm here, and this is the new home. It's set, and fucking, I don't even know how, I have to come up with like how the set's going to be and the way that the light works, all these windows and all this shit. I was in a controlled environment, a controlled studio. That's something that my mind just realized today. Like, fuck. Actually, it's nice having all this, but it's actually uncontrolled. Like, there's no, so like the old set that you guys are used to, that was indoors. There was no windows. I was in a warehouse. So it didn't matter if it was noon or if it was midnight, it looked the same every day. This is a completely different ball game. And it makes the job harder because every camera has to be changed. Every light has to change. And where am I going to keep it to where it could be a fixed place and a couple adjustments and stay? And I got to find that. And today tried, and that takes longer than a day. So I mean, we could do Sean Combs' chart this week if you really want to. I mean, it's pretty simple to see, like his Saturn and Taurus and opposite his Scorpio shit. Like he's got Saturn opposite in his life, and Pluto's coming to square Saturn and Taurus, right? And like that Pluto Aquarius is squaring all of the shit in Scorpio. Like he's got Jupiter, Venus conjunct in Libra, so exact. So he's, let me just have everything that I ever want. And he goes way too far, right? I've always said Jupiter, Venus conjunctions are not good. Too much benefic's bad, right? So he thought he could, it's also the idea that I can live forever, Jupiter, Venus conjunct. So when you think about it, it's kind of like, Mars, Saturn is like, well, like me, right? And Scorpio, like I'm fucking harsh, right? But it's like, no, I'm actually pretty nice too, right? But like Jupiter, Venus is, no, I'll live forever. Where I've always been like, I'm going to die young. Well, I'm still alive. I'm 40, right? So, the two malefics, there's like, oh, I'm going to deteriorate and die quick. The benefics are, I'm going to live forever and have everything that I want. Well, he definitely went and lived and had everything that he wanted. And what's funny is you always see with the benefics more crazy shit than the malefics. The malefics actually tell us our boundaries, right? And like, no, I shouldn't do that or whatever. Right? That's why it's malefic. It's not that benefic to be like, well, I want that, but I don't have the money, so I'm not going to go do some crazy thing, right? A benefic will be like, oh, fuck it. Put it on a credit card. In his case, fuck it. I've put everything on cards. I've made deals with all these people. I've done all these things. And he's a Scorpio, with a ton of Scorpio and Saturn and Taurus and the opposition and Pluto coming to square that Saturn. Pretty simple to see in his sun and Mercury and all that shit. And I think he has a deep connection with Kamala Harris if you look at their charts, and a bunch of other people that you're seeing right now. And a lot of people that are all saying, go Kamala and all that are celebrities are all connected to this Diddy thing. If you look at his chart. And if you look at the Kardashian chart to the Diddy chart, you look at all of it. It's like the Gen X are all connected with him. And the Gen Xers that aren't into that pop shit, well, they're fine in life. But the Gen X that's super connected and making their idols off this, they're going to be really hurt. And they're trying to idolize another Kamala out of this, which is kind of insane. Yeah, he's Jupiter Venus conjunct. I forgot the degree, but I know they're dead exact. I'm weird. I remember people's charts. I looked at it once and I already remember all that shit. So anyway, it's good to be back. Deep Astrology Be Tuesday. I appreciate you all. I hope that this reminds you of what High Vibe's about and what astrology is. This is the first time in 12 years I've ever pulled back, but of course, Jupiter returned to the Leo King and doing astrology horoscopes every day. So of course the Jupiter return would be me pulling back to go through a move, to restructure, to re-identify with my astrology, and probably even though there was no break, I haven't had a break because of all the work to get this back on, but the astrology part in doing this, there was a break, and I definitely needed that after 12 years. I needed that. I needed that break to be like, not just so lost in the fucking astrology every second and doing it every day. Can you imagine that? I don't even know. It's 15,000 plus videos. I stopped there. So, as far as like counting, it's like 4 years and like 7 months of content out of the 12 years. So imagine spending 4 years without a break, right? Like if you were to just try and take all my content, it's 4.5 years of content out of the 12 with no break, meaning like it would just be like watch 4.5 years and from the beginning of the 12 and you'd get 4 years in and then like 7 months and then it would finally be like, oh, it's over. Of the 12. So, yeah, I'm learning to work with the windows in the day. It's harder when you have too much light. The camera, these lights don't even show up. So then I become a blur. So I just have to make a couple spots now where if I want a window shot and it's right, and when it's too bad, that there's a spot that is controlled environment no matter when I need it. And I didn't think about that one yet. So like, this is kind of a back out, but I have all these other places and I have this to make a set too with. Somebody got upset about this. By the way, this is Amazon, $99 for 12, and it's 24 of these. It was $200 to do this wall with double sticky tape. And you can see up high, I've got lights, so you don't see the reflection on a closer up shot. You don't see those, right? So, it's just getting, and then I have the bookshelf one, but it costs money to buy like a chair and shit. And not like I've been making a lot of money lately for the last 2 months. If anything, I spent money to move and then double what the rent was just to pay the deposits and come into this place and then get everything turned on. And at least I'm here and I know that it'll work out in about a month or two. It'll finally start to stabilize out, but fucking been it's been the test of like, for anybody that doubts and thinks that I'm over this, I wouldn't have just done the last 8 weeks. I would have just got out, went and just stayed at my house and just done a couple of videos and probably just backed out and then just gone back to doing readings and just doing a YouTube video. Instead of actually wanting to carry a network and a community and continue to do shows for other people and have other people on, pay for all that shit and do all that and keep the faith going, right? So for anybody that doubts, I would not be sitting right here doing this. Especially as a new dad and all that stuff. So trust me, my faith and my drive and my desire to do this is just watch those horoscopes. you know? So, and it got me some time to kind of go, all right, who's doing sun signs out there? And it was just like, wow. It's kind of just a missing thing. It's very basic. And that, you know, at least it's out there. So I'm not going to talk shit on anybody. I'm just saying it's just very basic. So, you know, it's kind of like, I'm a DJ. Like, you want a track that hits, right? So it's like, I get it as being on the other side of astrology and being an astrologer. Like, I know what people want with astrology. They want depth. They want it to hit. They want it to blow their fucking emotional, spiritual, conscious awareness, right? They want to illuminate the collective consciousness with it, right? So that's what I deliver. So, you know, I get that. That's just how I'm built. So, and I think that others that are on here, they're built for wanting that kind of shit too. So, you know, we're all in that same exchange energy. And I apologize I wasn't able to do it, to get this all and to change it all. I'm still processing it. That was a lot of work for 7 years at that place that I know it wasn't a waste because it was beautiful, but it still was the hardest to and to be honest, that is like, it had a successful time, and then High Vibe is surviving. It's not thriving. So, and I'm the owner, I'm the CEO, so that's on me. I can't blame Biden, or I can't blame people or anything. It's on me. So, and being honest with, okay, like, this has to happen anyway. So you know, and then also, you know, for me, it's like, how am I going to get it to thrive again? That's been my, like, a place I used to know so well, I don't know anymore. I really don't. I feel like I've kind of run out of like ideas, or I think I oversaturated the market for 12 years. So people get bored of the same place. So and that's just reality. So, you know, it's like the baton's been kind of passed. And so I'm in the like, okay, I had my glory days. What's next? And maybe it won't thrive again. Maybe it'll just be, I don't know. So we'll see. It's been difficult though. I'm not going to just float your boat and just try and say, oh yeah, I'm fine with it. No, it's been fucking really rough. It's been the hardest for just career, not my personal life, but just my career and my connection to that. Been the hardest 8-9 weeks of my life. It's been very, I've always gone up and always, I've never had to throw it all away and then step down and so that happens in life, but this is my first time with that happening. I've always got the show or got the TV show or been on that magazine or been at that conference or been the leader of that or been the first astrology app or been the first this or been the first astrology magazine that was in every fucking grocery store and fucking Target and everything in the world, in America. Like, you know, all these kind of things. And it's like, oh fuck, now I'm like, so it was like a huge humble pie that just was shoved into my fucking soul for the last 9-8 weeks. And that's why I've been very silent. I haven't talked much, even on social media, on here much. I've been really in myself processing this while doing this. And I mean, it's hard. Like I was telling Sophia today, like I had to build something else for these C-sands and stuff. I'm like my arms hurt so bad. It's been fucking moving shit for 8-9 weeks, whether it was tearing things down or then building some little thing like it and then moving it all and having 4 storage places right now. And I don't even have the energy because stuff got moved in the wrong places and I need to get rid of one to save money. And it's like, I don't even have the help to move the fucking thousands of pounds of tools out of one. And it just, I know somebody's going to say it's first world problems out there, but it's like, I can imagine anybody that has been in the hurricane or the one that's happening right now, like just having your whole life shifted and moved and everything, having to be moved in different places. Some people lose it all. I'm lucky that didn't happen, but there's a lot of things I did lose energetically, spiritually, and physically. And a lot of it was a lot of the hope I had about High Vibe that felt like it just, it got close to being in a coma. And I have to thank you all for keeping it alive and continuing to keep it alive and be positive and subscribe to keep me from letting it go into a coma. So I haven't really talked about what I've been feeling, but I don't know. I do know that the last time Mars retrograded in Leo in 2009, at the end of it, at least it stayed in Leo and went direct on my sun. So I was like, that was kind of nice. And that was my big reality show on ABC launch. Actually, the day it crossed my rising, May 31st, 2010, it was like, I'm fucking famous. Crazy famous out of nowhere. But this one's going to retrograde and then come back into Cancer. So there's going to be a whole new me coming out, and I don't know what that looks like fully yet, but I'm surrendered to it. And as you can see, I mean, I don't even dress the same. I don't even talk the same. And yeah, Pluto's doing a number on me for sure. So I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea where this is all going to go. And I'm okay with that. Instead of like putting a lot of pressure on me to know all the time. To be honest, like, reminding myself that with the subscription, the guarantee is that I show up and make content, not what time and all that shit. That's the terms of service, and that's what it is. So I show up, but the pressure I've put on myself to fucking do what is literally impossible has really brought me to that place of like letting go of like, okay, fucking, I need to do all these other things too, and I have to have a life, and I have to live a life. I just can't be fucking 16 hours a day and not, my marriage won't survive. I won't be a good dad. Like I won't be a good family member. I won't be a good human being to myself. It's not, like that's light work, but not fully. Like the light work has to be that I'm also doing, that I'm living and enjoying life too, because I live a stressful life by myself at work to get up everything. I think the projection on me is that I'm lazy or that I'm not doing things, and it's quite the opposite. It's more like the amount of stuff that's being done behind the scenes, very 12th house like I am, is insane. And for those that see it and put it out there, then they get just even a glimpse of it. They're like, whoa. But to understand it from the whole view, I'm the only one that could understand that fully. So, And nobody is in my life 24/7 at work to know. I would say that Craig and Brian are the two that would know. So anyway, I got to get home and do your daily, but I'm back, and just give me some flexibility on timings and so forth as I'm still getting this new environment together. Like I'm going to have to push back another day, like all the boxes and shit that are fucking stacked everywhere to get a storage down at the basement of this fucking high rise I'm in. I got that, but I don't have the time, or all the trash that I need to go take out. I so much to fucking do. So please just understand. And that's it. So don't worry, there'll be a lot more coming up. And I appreciate understanding. So adios. Bye-bye.